And here come the Nuggets. Campazzo's in the game now for Denver. He has the basketball. He brings Murphy off over to Kane, dribbles off of his foot, and throws it away. Christian front court. Porter dunked with the right hand. 37 for Michael Porter Jr. Jokic gets a Porter pick, shoots a three. Ball game! Denver leads it by 20 with 4 minutes to go against the Pels, and this thing is over! Christian comes down with the basketball. Shot clock winding down, takes a jump shot. That one misses. Tipped up and in by Porter. That's 39! 136 to 117. And there's the horn. Denver blows out the Pelicans. It was a monster third quarter for Denver. They win this thing going away. The final tonight from Ball Arena, 144 to 119. And Nikola Jokic is going to save this game for Denver with a block shot at the rim.
Catch and shoot, dribble, drive, Ball Arena, come alive.
All right, let it ride, let it ride.
All day. His defense is just okay. Who gives a damn? Give the man the rock. 6'10" and he can't be blocked. If there's one man to beat man to man, y'all Nuggets fans saying because MPJ can.
Here comes Michael Porter Jr.
I'm telling you right now, dude, the last couple of games out of that guy, it's almost like, I don't want to say it's frustrating, but it's a level to MPJ's game where he can do that pretty regularly. It's all about how aggressive he wants to be. How many shots do you want to take? The last 2 games he shot 22 times a few days ago and 23 times last night. And in those 2 games in which he's done that, he's put up 36 and 39. He shot 7 of 12 from 3 and 5 of 9 from 3. But when he does that, it makes him activated and involved in a whole bunch of other stuff, which includes rebounding. And even, early in that game, Porter was he's really good distributing the basketball, like finding some open guys when people would flash out to him because they knew he was hot. Not to mention 3 steals last night. Texter said, MPJ has put up 36 and 39 this week with trade rumors percolating. That's a dude that doesn't want to leave Denver. I don't know if that's the case. I think it's more just that's how the flow of the game felt. He was able to get open. And when he got open, he knocked down the shots. Like, it always drives me nuts because I don't know how else to handle this when it comes to Porter. He is a lockdown shooter. Like, he shoots as well as anybody else by volume in the NBA. He takes 6.5 threes a game. He knocks them down at 41%. That's a really good thing to have on your team.
It's pretty
Like 19 points in 7 boards per game on 52% from the field, 41% from 3. That's a threatening player. That's somebody you're scared of. And a texter says, sell high. Okay. I don't know what people want. Sometimes a player has some assets that outweigh others that you would like. Again, not everybody is going to be an all-NBA offensive player and an all-NBA defensive player. That's what the point of a team is. Like the NFL teams that usually have 2 running backs, there's usually a power guy, and there's usually a more catch out of the backfield, open space type of guy. When you find Saquon Barkley, you're incredibly lucky. But the responsibility is on the team to do everybody's different roles. And I think it's actually pretty scary of an option for you to take Michael Porter Jr. off this roster. And by the way, I don't think it's happening. I don't think the Nuggets are doing anything. You know how hard it is to get a deal done just hours before the deadline goes down? We always kind of wait. We always kind of wait that last day thinking, hey, there's a couple hours left. I wonder if they make a move. You probably don't. The deadline's up at 1 o'clock today. 1. I don't think that this is going to turn into the Nuggets make 3 moves by 1 o'clock. I think if they were going to make a move, it would have happened. I've been saying this all along. I don't think they make a trade. I think it's way more likely that they wait for a buyout market and see if they can get somebody on a minimum. You know, Bruce Brown was just involved in a trade yesterday. He could be an option like that. Now, there's some trades yesterday that made me upset because it felt like things that really could have helped you that other teams got. We'll get to that in a second, but just sticking with the game. You know, it had sort of a weird vibe to it. The game was tied going into halftime, and then the second half started, and you just blitzed New Orleans, and they stood no chance afterwards. Once that third quarter took off, and you realized the Nuggets offense was not slowing down and the Pelicans was, that was game over. Right then and there. I was actually surprised that Jokic played at all in the fourth quarter. I don't think that he had to, but I guess it's easier just to let him close out until like 4 or 5 minutes left and just put a nail in the coffin, right? But pretty much everybody was playing well yesterday. I thought even in limited minutes, only 9 for Zeke Nnaji, I thought he played great. Zeke's problem, it seems to be, at least from the last couple of games that we've seen, he takes a lot of fouls in a hurry. Now, part of that is just playing aggressive defense, which I can appreciate. You're coming off the bench. You want to make an impact. Who really cares how many fouls you get? Go try and block a shot, try and get a steal, be aggressive on the boards, like do that kind of stuff. But I almost wonder, I mean, how's this if I just try and make the case here? Would it feel like you acquired somebody at the deadline if what these last, handful of games have provided is confidence that Zeke Nnaji is a rotational player? If I presented you that, would it feel like you got something? You know, like if it's like this. If the Avs don't make another move before the deadline, but you add Gabe Landeskog afterwards, it's going to feel like an addition, even though he's already on the roster. That's how I kind of feel about Zeke. But I'm just telling you, I know there's a handful of people. I did a straw poll yesterday around this same time asking, do you want Porter on this team or not? Because I have always been a guy who said Porter is very much a key piece on this team, that just the inconsistencies are there, but he can take the team to another level when he's on. And that's the kind of stuff that you see from the last couple of games. All I would ask, if there is some hidden trade that hasn't happened yet, which I doubt there is, guarantee me you got better at the end of it. And I think that's going to be a really hard sell. Like Vic said it yesterday, oh, what if Kevin Durant was, okay, if it's Kevin Durant, then fine. But I would like to have somebody around that level of a player than just to see if somebody else is going to fit in here. Remember, championship core on this team is still Murray, Jokic, Porter, and Gordon, and even Christian Brown, who wasn't in the starting lineup but played a ton during their run a couple years back. Porter's on fire lately. And I know this comes in waves. He'll have, a week where he looks like this, and he'll have a few games where he's, scoring 12 points. But overall, just look at the numbers. 52% from the field, 41% from 3, 7 boards, and 19 points a game. That's a good player. You know who that is? That's Chris Bosh and his numbers in Miami when he was with Wade and LeBron. The years that they were at their peak, Chris Bosh in 2012 had 16.5 points and 7 boards per game. But incredibly impactful. To the trades that weren't made, because there was a ton yesterday. We'll get to the Jimmy Butler stuff. We'll get to all of that in a few moments. But I never thought that the Nuggets were players for like the huge trade sort of thing. Just didn't think that they would find some sort of return, even if they were entertaining the idea of trading Porter, that would justify it. But there were smaller moves I thought they could have. And I look at one in particular. The Jonas Valanciunas trade is one that stings. Because that's one I think that immediately could have made you better. So he was traded from the Wizards to the Kings for Sidi Sissoko and 2 second-rounders. Difficulty is you didn't have second-rounders to trade. The bummer is that is almost nothing in return for a guy that could actually play for you.
Would you say they traded him for Cisco, the Thong Song guy? What was that name?
I believe it's Sidi Sissoko. S-I-D-Y. Last name. C-I-S-S-O-K-O. Chisoko? Maybe it's a hard C. I don't know. But that's one that felt like a smaller type of move that you could have made that could have filled out a little bit of depth. And you didn't have the pieces because I think some things were mismanaged beforehand. Offloading a Reggie Jackson contract that took 3 second-round picks to do. I mean, it seems silly now, doesn't it? Especially when that kind of trade goes down that could really help. But at the end of the day, it's what I kind of felt the whole time. I don't think the Nuggets were making a move, and I still don't think they are. They got a few hours, a little less than 7 to try and make something work. Look, I'm still going to keep my eye on the Shams alerts, but I don't see one happening. To a large extent, I think this is your team. This is the one that's going to try and vie for a championship this year. When they play the way they did last night, outside of maybe some early lack of defense, I think they'll have at least a decent shot. And again, you could be active on the buyout market. You could see what guys will be available in a couple of days after these trades are all settled. And then, we take this contract just to offload it. This guy's now free. Who knows? Because a couple of those are up for grabs too. Again, the trade involving Bruce Brown's another one. So the Pelicans, in the middle of the game last night, traded Brandon Ingram to the Raptors for Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, and a first and a second rounder. I don't think that Bruce Brown is in the long-term plans of the New Orleans Pelicans. They aren't going anywhere. They stink. This feels like I get this guy, I buy out the contract. I would love to see him do it for Olynyk, too. I would take him on the team right now. Right now. But there's still some options left. I just don't think it's coming via trade. And we'll break some of those down as we go along. Got some really good audio, by the way, from Sean Payton. It's pretty amazing, Nelly. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I always see these interviews with Kay Adams or Taylor Rooks or people like that, and guys get really, really honest, don't they? They tell them a lot of things. Can't figure out why. Now, God bless them. Those report, I love Kay Adams. I think she's fantastic. Same thing with Taylor Rooks. I think she's great too. But guys get really honest with them, and Sean Payton was one of them. He said a lot of things about their plans for the offseason that I think it sounds great. So we'll get to that audio in a little bit as well. 504-0925, broadcasting from the Backus and Shanker Studios. Serious lawyers for the seriously injured. Back after this. She had dumps like a truck. Thighs like what? Baby, move your butt. I think I sing it again. Yeah, just let it ride for a second. Let me see that. Dude, this song is good. I don't care what you say. This song is great.
And also, shout out the music video where he was running across women on the beach.
Yeah.
With like the shirt open, blowing in the wind.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's pure old school. He's got the unbuttoned shirt that eventually he rips open to wind blowing it behind him like a cape. Bleach blonde, dyed hair. What do you do if you're Cisco? You have this song, and then nobody knows anything else you've ever done. I mean, it's the classic one-hit wonder story, but, Anyway, the trades, which was for Yabusele. Texture,
yeah.
Kane, the thong song at 6:21 in the morning is diabolical. Well, this is a diabolical show. No rules. None.
Sounds like you got to embrace the thong, Texter. I don't care what time of day or night it is. Wake up.
So, here's some of the trades from yesterday. And there's one that is really scary to me. There's another one that got a lot of attention, but I don't really care all that much about. Talked a little bit about the Jonas Valanciunas trade that I wish that felt like a smaller move the Nuggets could have made. And who was just talking about it? Let's see. Jake Fisher, who works for the Stein line. He said, it's 2 second-round picks to Washington for Jonas Valanciunas. Denver was very much involved in pursuing the big man from the Wizards, as were the Suns in Phoenix efforts to find a new home for Yusuf Nurkic. So Denver was in on it, so at least you heard that part. But just get it done. He would have been somebody that immediately reliable backup big that could let Jokic actually chill on the bench for a second. Because he's older. He's not like prime Valanciunas, but he gets boards. He's a big body. He's an impediment in the middle defensively. And he's got a decent shot for a guy his size. So it's a bummer you missed out on him. The one that terrifies me was the Lakers last night. I'll get to Jimmy in a second, but I'm not worried about Jimmy. The Lakers trading Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, a first-round pick, and a pick swap to the Charlotte Hornets for Mark Williams. So Mark Williams, because he plays in Phoenix, is not a household name. Here's what Mark Williams provides, though. He's got a lot of untapped potential, first of all. So he averages about 15.5 and 10 per game. They're working on a shot for this guy. He doesn't quite have one now, but he could very well in the future. But do you know what this guy has? A wingspan that is lengthier than Victor Wembanyama's. That's what he possesses. That's scary. Like, when you get to the point of the Lakers looking at their starting lineup, and if this guy, again, if his potential actually kind of reaches what you're talking about, their lineup being Luka, Austin Reeves, LeBron, Mark Williams, and who's the other one? Is it Dorian? I'm always forgetting this guy's name. They're starting three. Somebody help me, please.
Is that Finney-Smith?
Yes, Dorian Finney-Smith.
Not Thompson Robinson, who's the quarterback for the Browns. Mixing up our Dorian hyphens here.
Yes, or Rui, depending on what they want to do night in, night out.
Oh, yes, the Jokic killer that one time for like 6 possessions.
Here's something that team has in common. Luka's 6'6", Reeves is 6'5", Finney-Smith is 6'8", LeBron is 6'9". Mark Williams is a 7-footer with a 10-foot wingspan. Okay, that's a very lengthy, and athletic team. That's tough. Now, the one thing the Lakers never really had was three-point shooting. Luka now provides that for him. I'm telling you, I don't want to sit here and lie to you and just try and cope and be like, oh, this won't work. Maybe it won't this year. But even if LeBron is no longer on the team after the season, let's say he just hangs it up, he retires. That's a pretty good core to move forward with. It is. Again, I think a lot of this hinges on how much of that ceiling that a guy like Mark Williams can reach, but I think he's a good player. And I think he's got the talent to do it. And especially you let him kind of percolate inside of a system in which he doesn't have to do all that much. The Lakers seem to be in a good spot. I'll give their front office credit. They seem to have made moves to establish themselves as at least a contending basketball team post-LeBron, which originally I would have thought was really tough to do. But that move scares me. The Jimmy Butler one, I don't even think about. I really don't. Golden State's on their last leg. They know it. They know they're in for a total rehaul in just a couple of years. Steph is in his upper 30s. Draymond's in his mid to upper 30s. Jimmy Butler's in his mid to upper 30s. And that team right now currently sits outside a play-in spot. Does he make them better in the short term? Maybe. Maybe he does. But that is an attitude and a cancer within a locker room that I don't even want to mess with. There have been times, it's early Miami, where Jimmy's been fine. He has not been an issue. But bet your bottom dollar he eventually will be. And they make the trade for him. That involves a lot of moving pieces. But Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Anderson, and a first-round pick all going to Miami for Jimmy Butler. And then Jimmy agreed to a 2-year, $121 million extension that keeps him there through 2027. $60 million a year for Jimmy. And I know a lot of people get obsessed with this idea. Yeah. Jimmy's not having a great season, but in the playoffs, he's completely different. Okay. You want to risk your last couple of years with this Steph Curry, Draymond core on that? Go ahead. But that is just a headache I would not be... It almost felt like Golden State was so desperate just to do something that they would have taken, look, if Jimmy Butler was taking dumps on Pat Riley's desk every day, I don't think it would have changed their minds on trading for him. That's how desperate they were. But I am not concerned about that at all.
Give me a little early look at Brady and his bets. Pull up your Circus Sports book and tell me, what's the over-under on days until Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green beat the ever-loving crap out of each other? I'll put it at a week, so over-under 6.5 days. But I don't know what your Circus says.
If Draymond is smart, he won't do a damn thing because Jimmy is, unbalanced. You could say that about Draymond, too. Draymond is he's egotistical. You hear Draymond speak. He's not a dumb person. Okay, he's not. I think part of being intelligent is know who you can and cannot mess with. Jordan Poole, you can punch in the face. Okay? Jimmy Butler, if you punch him, he might have you tied up in the trunk of his car a week later. Texter says Jimmy got 6 weeks paid vacation and a raise. Now, I think that some of that suspension was unpaid, But yes, that is the benefit and the beauty of being a superstar in this league. By the way, now that the dust is kind of settled, I know we still got a few hours left to where moves can be made. Again, not expecting that for the Nuggets at all. But let's just take a look. Championship odds, right? NBA Finals. Where do people stand? Number 1 is Boston at plus 210. Number 2 is Oklahoma City at plus 230. Number 3 is Cleveland at plus 750. Number 4 is the Knicks at plus 1,400. And number 5 is a two-way tie. Nuggets and Lakers, both plus 1,500. And after that, it is a steep drop-off to the next one. The Bucks at plus 2,800. That's your handful of teams that are vying for a championship. That's them. You take it all the way to where I stopped with the Nuggets and the Lakers, and that's it. I'm looking at some of these moves by LA, and I can't help but just look at it and be a little bit nervous about where that's eventually going to lead to. I told you guys over the last few years, there was nobody more confident than me. Outside of maybe Dempsey? You did the show with Dempsey, Nelly. Was Dempsey somebody that was unafraid of the Lakers? Do I have that right? Or was he somebody who was terrified of the history of that?
I honestly don't remember. I just remember Vic being captain, scared of the Lakers, and everybody making fun of him for it.
No, it wasn't everybody. I was like on an island on this show, at least in year 1. The year the Nuggets won the championship, I was like, I want the Lakers in the first round. I don't think they're good, and I think you'll crush them. And we had to wait until the Western Conference Finals to do it. But, of course, you get matched up, and it's a sweep. The next year, you match up in the playoffs again. You beat them in 5 games. And you do that without even playing well last year. I'm here to tell you right now, I don't feel that way about the Lakers anymore. They scare me.
So now you've swapped places with Vic, because 2 years ago he was scared of the Lakers because of the history and the bad juju every time they met in the playoffs, and now he's not scared of him anymore.
Yeah, but
now you're scared of him. So we've swapped.
Here's where I'm different, though, is that I told them they're scared of a ghost from Christmas past. They aren't scared of the team that's actually in front of them. It's the same argument I made for the Chiefs when the Broncos stacked up against them. And look, the Chiefs might win another Super Bowl here. But I looked at the matchup and I go, I think the Broncos match up pretty well with Kansas City. I said, you're scared of the Kansas City game because you're scared of what the Chiefs have done to you, not what this team is. And look, the Broncos should have beat them twice this year. But I thought that with the Lakers. I'm like, you're scared of a ghost from your memory, not of what's on the court right now. Luka Doncic changed that. I'm scared of what's on the court. I'm scared of what they can do to you on the perimeter now when you're playing defense. And by the way, everybody asking, like, who's going to stop Jokic? First of all, nobody stops Jokic. But a guy who's got the wingspan of Victor Wembanyama can make it tough. And I know that Jokic had great games against Wembanyama. He has great games against everybody. Nobody's able to stop him. But are they easy buckets or are they tough buckets? How much do you got to work for it? That's the stuff that matters. So after all these trades yesterday, I don't even think about the Jimmy move. I'm like, I don't care about Golden State. They're unconcerning. The one thing you should be looking for now if you're a Nuggets fan. Didn't think they'd make a move. Didn't think they had. I didn't think they wanted to make a major move, and they didn't have the capital to make a minor one. So now I just keep an eye on the buyout market. See if with one of these trades, like I said, Bruce Brown going to New Orleans, I don't know. I don't think they do anything with Bruce Brown. I think they're just They make the trade, you get the first round pick and the second round pick, and they want to acquire some draft capital for a team that's not very good, and that's why they let Brandon Ingram go. So Bruce Brown could be on the market, and yeah, I think it's an option. I still don't think that's what you need. You need a backup big. So who knows?
The main thing I remember to your previous question about Dempsey discussing the Nuggets is the fact that we didn't really need to talk about the Nuggets at all because they weren't a compelling story.
Chris Mannix, who we'll never have on here ever again.
Still one of my favorites right there. Can listen to us anywhere on the Altitude Sports Radio app. It's powered by the Wilhite Law Firm. Injury lawyers, go to willhitewins.com. That's willhitewins.com. We have another pair of tickets that we're going to give away today, by the way. Another pair of lower bowl tickets that we're giving away for the Nuggets game against Orlando tonight. So I'll let you know how you can win those at 7 o'clock, so stay tuned for that. Have Jeff Legwold a little bit later in the show to break down some of the storylines around the Super Bowl. I want to get to this audio, though, of Sean Payton on Kay Adams' show, because I think a lot of this is actually pretty fascinating to hear about what their plans are heading into the offseason, what are the priorities. And he said he breaks down his roster after the season gets done into musts, needs, and wants. And I think those are three pretty good categories to separate where the Broncos need to be better next year. Plus, I have a question. I'm looking at ESPN right now. I got a question about family and loyalty and how these things can coincide. Because it is a very curious way that one person finds himself in about who to root for in this Super Bowl. We'll get to it next. All right, so let me ask you a question. I don't think this is, I mean, it's easy, but it's not easy to do publicly. So I know we're sick of the Kelsey brothers. I am. But I'm curious. Super Bowl is Chiefs and Eagles. Jason Kelsey.
Vomiting and all that.
Jason Kelsey is a career Eagle who is going to be remembered as one of the fondest players in Philadelphia Eagles history. His brother plays for the opposite team as they try and win a Super Bowl. I know you root for your brother. That's what you do. Jason Kelsey has not said that out loud. And I think I understand it. Because, Nelly, the last thing I'm going to do is tell Eagles fans I'm not rooting for you.
For Jason, it's a win-win. If the Eagles win, then he gets to see his ELGSES get another trophy, and he's going to be happy. If the Chiefs win, he gets to see his brother get a third straight Lombardi trophy. He's going to be happy. I would argue he'd be happier probably to see his Eagles win than see his brother beat his former team. But either way, Jason Kelsey wins.
I don't think so. I think he wants his brother to win because that's what you do when you're in a family. You root for your blood.
We need to get Vic Lombardi here to tell us about what takes priority when it comes to family.
No, it's definitely your family. It's just you can't say that in Philly. And I'm trying to think, what would be a good example? Let's take this to which Bronco has a brother in the NFL right now? Okay, let's just go back. Shannon Sharp. Let's say that Shannon is retired from the Denver Broncos. A year removed, retired. Or 2 years removed, whatever. And it's Packers-Broncos in the Super Bowl, and Sterling is playing in it. Who is he rooting for? And would you be offended if he said he was rooting for the Packers out loud? Again, it's hard to do now because now Shannon's like an analyst, and he's always talking about different teams. But just try and take yourself back to a couple of years removed from Shannon Sharp, like retiring as a Bronco. And it's like, if he wanted the Packers to win, I think we'd all kind of get it. Philly fans don't. You can't say that out loud. So it's just a weird dynamic. Now, to Sean Payton yesterday, again, shout out to Kay Adams, who I thought was a great interview with Sean. We're talking about a couple of different details. One of them being the offseason needs for the Denver Broncos, and here's what he said.
We do the evaluation of our team,
Yeah.
and the purpose of that is then to establish what we call musts, needs, and wants.
Must, needs, wants. Okay.
So who are our musts?
Your must, you need a veteran wide receiver. That's what I think. I'd
All
like to
right.
see you.
I would say we need a joker.
You need a Reggie Bush.
An interior, and a joker now can be a tight end or a running back that has exceptional. We were spoiled here.
Yeah.
When you think about it, all right, you had Reggie, you had Jimmy Graham, Jeremy Shockey,
Yeah.
Darren Sproles, Alvin Kamara. Those are interior, either tight ends or running backs.
Jokers.
That they have to be elite receivers that play tight
Understood.
end or running back.
Got you.
And then you get the matchups, and we had quite a few of them here because you're getting too high defense and you have to work the inside. And so I think,
Where does a veteran wide receiver go in which bucket?
I think a
Want?
better wide receiver fits in a need,
Not
and
a
yet,
must-have.
man, I would say we're stronger there than some would think.
Okay.
A Devon Bailey, Troy Franklin. There's a number of receivers that we drafted a year ago. We'll look closely through the middle, inside linebacker, safety. There'll be a few other positions.
I got one question when it comes to the classifications here.
Next question.
So there's musts there's needs and there's wants. Now, by definition, I don't know if must and need are different, but it is to him. And I was trying to think, is this like when baby Jamal Kale comes up to me and she says, Daddy, I need juice. Like, you don't actually need it. You just really, really want it. Is that what you're talking about? Like, I'm kind of with him on this. I don't think adding a veteran wideout is a must on this team, but it would be really nice. And I get what he's saying. Like, you got Troy Franklin, Devon Vele as depth pieces that you could throw up in. Like, you could. I'd feel a lot more comfortable, though, if there was, like, a Cooper Kupp or Chris Godwin out there. Or if the stars truly align T. Higgins, which they aren't going to. I don't think they're paying that much money for a wideout in free agency. But you give me a Kupp, you give me a Chris Godwin, and then you add what he's talking about, which was one of these Joker guys. And by the way, I'm going to get really sick of that word. I can tell already, leading up to the draft. Like, let's just be clear here. You want somebody who can make a play. That's what you want. Whether it's on the ground, through the air, whatever. You want somebody that can do that, but it's more like find someone who is threatening on 3rd and 6. That's truly it. Like, what I love to have, and I always laugh at this, Sean Payton does not want to talk about the past unless it's the good things that happened in New Orleans. Unless it's that. But would I love to have a Reggie Bush? Yeah. Would I love to have a Jimmy Graham? Yeah, you're damn right I would. But more than anything else, I just want somebody who's actually threatening. Like, this is what I was talking about. The Broncos were one of the league leaders in explosive plays last year, believe it or not, but they kind of had to be because they also were one of the league leaders in 3 and outs. So with that, how many people did you truly fear if you were a defensive coordinator last year playing against Denver? Like, actually scared you? Like, take some of the teams that were in the playoffs this year, and I give you, like, some of the better offenses in the league. Who did you fear on Baltimore? Well, you feared Lamar, but you feared Derrick Henry. You feared Zay Flowers. Detroit, you feared St. Brown, Gibbs, Jamison Williams, like a whole bunch of guys. Having somebody you're scared of, have to pay attention to me is a must. Now, think about if you get multiple. That's where you get really dangerous offensively. And that's why I'm telling you, a running game can help so much. But think about this. Like, if you could tic-tac-toe these 3 things, viable running back, tight end that can move the chains, veteran wideout that can fill out a room that features Marvin Mims and Cortland Sutton, that's a damn good offense, man. Quarterback beyond his rookie year going into year 2, like, you can have some pretty high expectations for what this offense can be. Pair that now with a defense that was one of the league's best last year. All of a sudden, you find yourself in contention for things bigger than just making the playoffs. Now you're talking about, let's win a playoff game or 2. Let's try and see how close we can get to Kansas City for the division. Like, all that stuff is now on the table. And they aren't there yet, but potentially after this offseason, they could be. And then you think about the year after that, you're moving forward with a full deck as far as cap space. Who knows? But that's one. Here's the other. I keep mentioning Cooper Kupp for a reason. It's because he said this to Kay Adams yesterday.
We have Jared Stidham,
Of course.
Zach Wilson,
And they're all buddies.
and they all get along.
Yeah.
The wives get along. And so we were in Cabo a week ago, and McVay and his wife were there. We kind of have everyone over at the house. We had a McVay rule in Cabo. He couldn't talk to Bo Nix.
It makes sense. Separate rooms. No, yeah,
Yeah,
talk to each other.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, because I think that's where he. That's
The
where,
Cabo thing? I know.
Cabo thing.
I know.
All right. And then we went golfing the next day, the quarterbacks. And as much as I love these guys as quarterbacks, they're awful golfers. I'm like, I don't know who we're beating as a team collectively.
Okay, so listen, forget the golf part of this. The last time I remember Sean McVay and his wife being in Cabo and meeting somebody there that was a public story was what? Anybody? Bueller? It was about 2 weeks before Matthew Stafford was traded. Stafford and his wife randomly bumped into Sean McVay and his wife in Cabo. They had one rule. You can't talk about Bo Nix. Well, maybe you could talk about Cooper Kupp. Maybe. Just saying, you put that guy in Cabo, weird things happen. And talk more about this as we go along. 303-504-0925. Can always watch on the Safeway Twitch feed and the Altitude Television simulcast. Safeway, you can order online, and they do the rest. Get easy delivery or free pickup with the same great deals. Get started at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app. Safeway, fresh foods, local flavors. Moser, Lombardi, and Kane next.
Hey everyone in Denver, Colorado, this is Chris Hodge, the longtime host of Sports Investors Daily, sponsored by TakingVegas.com. I'm not even going to insult your intelligence with a free pick between Denver and New Orleans tonight. We all know New Orleans stinks. Denver's going to kill them. But if you text the word win,
All right. Jesus Lord. Oh my God.
That's all you need to know. Vic, that's all you need to know about tonight.
Murphy off over to Kane, dribbles off of his foot and throws it away. Christian front court. Porter dunk with the right hand. 37 for Michael Porter Jr. Jokic gets a Porter pick, shoots a three. Ball game. Denver leads it by 20 with 4 minutes to go against the Pels, and this thing is over. Christian comes down with the basketball. Shot clock winding down, takes a jump shot. That one misses. Tipped up and in by Porter. That's 39. 136 to 117. And there's the horn. Denver blows out the Pelicans. It was a monster third quarter for Denver. They win this thing going away. The final tonight from Ball Arena, 144 to 119.
Ooh, he be fine.
Stripped out of his hands and a block by Jokic. Loose ball Dozier. And Nikola Jokic is going to save this game for Denver with a block shot at the rim.
Catch and shoot, dribble, drive, Ball Arena, come alive. MPJ, score all day. His defense is just okay. Who gives a damn? Give the man the rock. 6'10" and he can't be blocked. If there's one man to beat man to man, y'all Nuggets fans stand because MPJ can.
Yeah. Tough three. Knocked it home.
The Pelicans stink. Nuggets are going to kill them. I'm not going to insult your intelligence.
Busted it down.
That is what happened. Now, tie game at half, but then the third quarter started, and then that was it. Second game in a row that Michael Porter Jr. just goes crazy. They tried desperately to get him to 40 points instead of, I think it's career high is what he tied Vic in 39.
Yeah, 39 is his career.
Look, I don't know what to do with the information of, hey, this is close to the deadline. What does this mean? Was Porter motivated? I don't know if it's that or if he's just been hot the last couple of days.
Well,
you know?
here's the deal. If you can get that kind of activity, that kind of energy from Michael Porter on a nightly basis, on a consistent basis, you don't have to do anything to this team. It takes care of itself.
Vic, isn't that – this is what I'm getting at. Hear me out. The Nuggets, they're supposed to look like that. That's how it's supposed to be. You have your third max on the team, and he's supposed to get off for a couple in a row sometimes and fire for 30 and take 23 shots. You're supposed to be tied at halftime, and then you come out in the third quarter as a professional winning team, and you beat that ass. Excuse my language, early in the morning. You stomp them in the third quarter, you put it away, and you call it a game. That's the way the Nuggets are supposed to behave against teams like the Pels, right?
Can I remind somebody of something that I've said for a long time regarding Porter? Because they all get caught up in the max contract, but he averages 18 points a game or whatever it is. It's almost 19 now. They said, well, if you're a max guy, you got to average 25. And I go, the ball can only go to so many places. So when Porter goes off for 39 points and Joker has 38, how many did Jamal have last night?
He didn't need to do anything.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like the ball can only go so many places. So if somebody's hot like that, somebody is going to take a step back.
Yeah. You only have so many
pardon
mouths to
the
feed.
pun.
Yeah, that should be okay, though. That should be the way it works. On any given night, somebody's got to run with the big fella, or the big fella can defer. And those two, I mean, whatever the case may be, that's the way I think it's supposed to work for this team. And it did. And you drilled the Pelicans twice in a row, deja vu all over again. That's what I like. I like that.
Do you think it's just pure coincidence that it comes on NBA trade deadline week?
I do. I just think it's coincidental. Like, here's what's played out so far, and what I think. Look, the deadline's up at 1 o'clock today. Very rarely do things happen like 2 hours before the deadline, as far as like especially major moves like that. I didn't think they were going to make a move at the deadline. They probably aren't. Buyout market's completely different story. Who knows? Like, Bruce Brown just got traded to New Orleans, and I don't think they're going to keep him there.
Well,
so maybe.
If they want to venture into the buyout market, they have to make a move at the deadline. They have to.
Yeah,
the
I guess
only
you're right.
way you can get into the buyout market is to take that apron off. Moser, take the apron off. You got to take it off.
So you can't sign somebody to a minimum still?
You cannot get into the buyout market unless they shed at least $6.2 million in salary.
I just saw Moser
Okay, my
stand up
apron's off.
and right around his waistband start to like untie something. I got nervous for a minute.
They have to get below a certain number to get into the buyout market.
I have an awesome apron at home that my wife got me for doing my
I've never used
barbecuing and stuff.
Never used an apron.
You never used one?
Never.
I don't care. Oh, that was cute.
Do you know what it says? Do you know what it says?
I've seen it.
I'm going to text you.
Kiss me,
seen
I'm
it.
fat.
It's hilarious.
Kiss me, I'm what? Kiss the cook? What'd you say? Don't touch me, I'm fat?
I said, kiss me, I'm fat.
Oh, no, that's not what it says. It says this.
Okay, well, hurry up.
This
Just
is
say
such-
it. What are you?
I'm
why are
trying.
you pulling up the picture? Just say what it says. I don't need to see it.
If
I'm
our audience
texting you
can't-
because I'm not sure I
but
can
if-
say it. I'm not
if
sure.
they can't hear it, what's the point of saying it?
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't think we can say that. It is funny. I don't think we can say that. I don't like leaving the audience
Why?
in the dark. We do that
What do you think? This
occasionally.
is
I
an
hate
inside jokey joke show?
it. Hey, how about this? Here's the difference with
Vic,
Porter.
read it. Vic, look at your phone and read
I
it.
know what it is. I've seen it. You've worn it. I've seen it.
Everybody chill.
Here's the difference with Porter over the last couple of games. Do you know how many games this season in which he's attempted more than 20 shots? Because he's done it 2 games in a row.
I think 3 games.
Yeah, one other game.
Yeah.
Like he's just he doesn't take the volume like that. But I played the clip yesterday of him talking about the coaches on this team would like him to get up about 10 threes a game.
Yeah.
And he shot 12 a couple days ago, and he shot 9 last night. He's a 41% three-point shooter at a high volume. Like, he should be taking shots. But, Vic, there was one shot where he was already playing well. But I go, this could be career-high territory. He got a rebound.
Stop and pop. I know the one you're talking about.
And just transition way back, knock down the three. You're like, all right.
You know, it's not
Good
just
luck.
that, though, guys. Watch him play during the game. And the games where you know he's engaged with energy are the games where I'm like, this is exciting. It's getting up and down the court, chasing fast breaks, looking for slop in the lane, finishing plays, all that stuff. When he is engaged at that level, he's a completely different player. Now, every player goes through I'm just not into it tonight.
Right.
From here on out, if the Nuggets want to go where they hope to go, that can't be the case. That can't. Now, there are other players who AG hasn't looked the same since his injury, correct?
Correct.
So you assume he'll get back to it. There will be games where Jamal Murray has Murray flurries, and he does his thing. But the one constant in life, I feel like James Earl Jones, the one constant in life is the big man. He's always producing.
Well, it was different.
Are you okay?
I didn't expect him to take 13 threes last night. That was a little weird.
Yeah, you didn't enunciate very clearly there. What you're trying to say is the one constant in life. And it sounded like what you said was the one constant in life.
The one constant in life. He took 13 threes. Joker did
And the one
last night.
constant in life is B.
I really believe in that game last night since he knew they were going to win. He just figured, let's just work on this tonight.
Yeah.
Let's make this
just hoist.
Let's mess with this a little bit tonight.
So what you're saying about Porter, though, it's the scene from, if you guys have seen Bad Boys 2, Martin Lawrence saves Will Smith's life, and Will Smith goes, that's how you shoot. From now on, that's how you shoot.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, if you want to get Porter involved in a game like that, give him some volume. Like, just find ways. And you're right, Vic, a lot of this is on him. He admitted as much with PhD the other day, where he's like, I have to be able to read the game better and understand what my role is going to be on any given night.
It's not only that. I'm watching last night on a couple occasions. He's 6'10".
Yeah.
He would have guys on him that are 6'5", 6'7". If you're 6'10" and you got that kind of an advantage, either shoot over the top or do your thing.
Yeah.
Right? Just do your thing.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Durant is he's a sniper. He's a lethal killer. If somebody small gets on Kevin Durant, what does he do? Goes right at him.
Yep.
He just takes advantage of him. I said that yesterday. I said the good part about MPJ on the wing, man, is that he can shoot over guys. It's not necessarily creating your own shot and one-on-one. I mean, you just have an advantage over other people, so why not use it? And that's exactly what he did. Hey, this whole Bruce Brown thing, he's only in Denver for a year, and he's a crucial part of the Nuggets winning a championship. And this is his third team in the last 2 years, right? Why doesn't anybody want Bruce Brown?
But the contract's too much.
Do we want him here?
Yes.
Like Brucey B, do we want him as a player?
Yes.
Okay. But we can't have him, right? Can't. No, can't have him.
Hell no.
What was that?
Hell no.
What was that sound effect?
Yeah, what was that sound?
That's that baby that's reaching for the toy in the drawer, and she goes, nope. Nope. I want me some Bruce Brown. He wants to be here. Why can't the Pels eat some of it? I don't understand why, if they want each other, why can't they have each other?
They are eating the contract. If he goes to the buyout market, they're eating all of the contract.
Are you sure about that, by the way? You 100% sure that they're going to buy out their contract?
No, I'm saying if he did, though, that's how it would work.
Yeah, because everybody makes that assumption. I'm not totally sure that the Pelicans go in that direction. It's crazy.
I would say this about him, Vic. What do they stand to gain from Bruce Brown being on the roster? They're going nowhere.
Well, they have no players. Here's what they have to gain. Everybody's hurt, including last night. Jordan Hawkins got hurt.
Yeah.
They have to have enough players to field the basketball team. Everybody's hurt on their team. That's what they have to stand to gain. Hey, Pelicans, you have a game tonight. Do you have enough players? Well, I guess. I almost felt sorry for that franchise. Here they come to Denver. They're beat up to begin with. Dude, if you look at their roster, Moj, before they traded Brandon Ingram and looked at their entire roster, that's a damn good roster. It was pretty full. And they got nobody. They're done.
No.
Everybody's hurt or gone.
Yep.
And Zion isn't himself anymore. You could tell. It's just not the same player.
Yeah.
But today, guys, I think here's what today is. Today is NBA trade deadline day with the deadline coming at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. All of the major deals, all of the big banner trades have already occurred. Today, I think you're going to see some of the lower level trades where teams just want to refine what they have. I thought the sneaky deal the Lakers made late last night to go get Mark Williams was that was a great under the radar deal by the Lakers. They needed it, and they got it done. And for everybody saying, well, you lost Dalton Connect. I love him too. But you know what? When you have Luka on the court and you have Austin Reeves on the court, where's he going to play?
Well, I want to get to that in a second because I'm officially really scared of the Lakers. And you guys know this. The last 2 years, I've said over and over again, even the first time that you played them in the playoffs, and you guys were scared of the ghost of Christmas past, and I said, that's not the same team. You're better than they are. And you've dominated them since.
So now you have a right to be scared, but when I was scared,
You were scared of a ghost, not of what was on the court. I'm now scared of what's on the court. Like the team, their roster is a very good roster. It is. So we'll get to that in a second. Here's the other thing, just quickly. Once again, Dario Saric is the only guy who didn't touch the floor last night. Even Spencer Jones got out there and hit a three. You mentioned this, Vic. I hope this is the case. I hope that they just aren't playing him because they're finding a way to package him in a trade. Maybe that opens something up for a buyout market. I don't know. But I don't see any other reason to keep Dario Saric here. And it's been that way basically since the second week of the season.
I want to thank DMac for asking the question to Coach Malone the other day specifically about Saric. And basically said, look, you guys gotta earn their way onto the floor, and they gotta to do what they gotta do to get out there on the floor is kind of what he said.
I still don't know what that means.
Clearly, it was not a match. It was not a match from the get-go. It's pretty dang clear.
Well, I'm gonna say this. Here's my prediction for the day. I've only got one because I don't know what the Nuggets plan on doing before 1 o'clock. But for the stretch run, all right, for the remaining 3 months of the season, including the playoffs, one thing the Nuggets must do, in my humble opinion, they cannot have, and you've heard me say this before, their fifth and sixth highest paid players not play. Either they play, one of them plays, at least one, or at least one of them gets shipped. But that can't remain the situation here.
Yeah, I just saw Jonas Valanciunas get traded for 2 packs of peanuts yesterday.
Would you agree with me on that? Fifth and sixth highest paid players on the roster cannot remain on the roster in this situation without minutes.
Somebody will take Sarge's contract. It's not some sort of bane on. If you're a bad team who knows you're going nowhere, you can do something to package Dario Sarge's contract to them. You can, okay? It's 2 years for $10 million.
Here's the problem, though, Brett. If people know you're going to package that, if people know you're going to unload it, they're going to ask you for something.
Yeah.
They're going to ask you. By the way, since when did Utah become involved in every single trade? They're like the Buffalo Bill of modern NBA basketball. They're delivering mail everywhere.
But this is what I was hoping. I was like, could you be a Utah? A Jimmy trade to Golden State. They need a third team to just kind of like weigh things out. Hey, we'll throw Saric in here for it. Like, they couldn't do any of that, really? Because I don't know what they do now. I would actually, Vic, be legitimately surprised if a move was made before 1.
You don't think anything will happen?
I mean, come on, man. We've known the status of Dario Saric for 5 months, okay?
I would be surprised if the Nuggets don't do something. Shed salary, trade picks, acquire picks. I think by 1 o'clock they'll do something. If they don't do anything, I'd be surprised.
Well, let's jump back to that in just a second. I got a keyword for you. You guys want to have lower bowl tickets to the game tonight against Orlando? Well, guess what? All you got to do is text step back to 303-504-0925 in your first and last name. That's step back in your first and last name to 303-504-0925. Puts you in the running. We'll announce a winner at the end of the show. No fees on all games before the All-Star break, by the way. Those games include tonight against the Magic, the Blazers tomorrow, and the Blazers a couple days again after that. Applies to standard admission tickets only. You can buy them on nuggets.com.
By the way, I had a bunch of fans come up last night who listened to the show, and they all had one question. The question was, what was it that guy said that made you guys go crazy on the program? Because a lot listening on the radio, we hit the dump button, and they didn't hear what he said.
Oh.
It was an F. That's what he said.
Hard F.
Yeah.
In crystal clear voice of the people quality, brought to you by the Fricky Law Firm there in your corner.
No, it was an F with an ing. So I mean, it was 2 syllables, not just an F. It was the full F.
It was sing-songy, though.
Yeah, but we
It
can't
sounded
promote that.
good.
If we want to remain on the air, can't be calling for that like you guys are right
Nelly,
now.
do you like what my apron says?
I do. I like your apron a lot more than the second apron. Great caption.
How would you feel, by the way, if that incident from yesterday got us back into a dispute with Comcast, and you've ruined all the work done by these higher-ups that got a deal done with them?
I would blame Nelly, obviously. It was
that is true.
Clearly, Nelly.
If it was anybody's fault, it was Nelly's fault.
Hey, a dude
I don't
sitting
point
in
fingers on the show, but...
No, you know what it is? It's the trust we have with our listeners. We have a certain trust,
That too.
relationship of trustworthiness. And I think that was damaged. Can't trust you now.
We have a trust with our listeners, and they just routinely violate that trust.
You can't be trusted.
On purpose. Yeah.
So way to go, guys.
They're habitual line steppers is what they are.
You know what we did? We let you borrow the car for a day, and you threw it right
Correct.
into a light pole. I mean, directly into it, head on. All right, so a lot to get to. The Jimmy Butler trade from yesterday, what the Lakers did, along with, there's some really good audio, I thought, with Sean Payton on with Kay Adams, and I don't know, it boggles the mind why Kay Adams and Taylor Rooks always get these really honest and entertaining interviews from a lot of these athletes and coaches. It always happens. I don't know. They're very good at what they do, by the way. They are. But you get Sean Payton talking to Kay Adams. Same thing happened at training camp last year. It's like, oh, he's going to tell you some stuff. And I thought it was really interesting about offseason needs. We'll get to that a little bit later. Jeff Legwold at 9 o'clock this morning. Stick around.
Step back, Cabo.
All right, two pretty big moves yesterday. One of them has me totally unconcerned, and the other one has me concerned. I'm unconcerned with Jimmy Butler to Golden State. Don't care. I don't think it matters. They are a last gasp effort to try and get a couple of years of Steph Curry and Draymond another chance at the title, and it's not going to work with that.
Desperation move to get Curry some help.
They aren't even in a play-in spot right now. Everybody has this narrative, and these are ones that I just don't buy into. But Jimmy's way different in the postseason. It's like, all right, go ahead and bank your entire franchise on that for the next couple of years.
Can you stop real quick? Can I make an objective, reasonable point about Jimmy Butler? And you guys tell me if this is the way it should be. We have an NBA player who was already making $50 million plus. Did you just hear what I said?
Yeah.
He was already making $50 million plus.
That's 5-0, right? 5-0?
He had taken his team to the NBA Finals a couple seasons earlier, so proven to be on a pretty good roster, playing in Miami, a place he chose.
And it was a cool run.
Yes.
To their credit, it was a cool run they went on.
He decided he wasn't happy because his teammates got extended contracts, while he did not, even in his older age. So what did he do? He decided he didn't want to play in the Miami sandbox anymore. So he stomped his feet. He made a scene. He forced the teacher to kick him out of class a few times. And rather than get kicked out of school, rather than get disciplined, they gave him everything he wanted. Mm-hmm. He got an extension. He got a new team. He got $121 million to go to Golden State, and he won the entire deal. What a complete joke that kind of action. I am embarrassed for the NBA that a dude can basically tell everybody in the league, I want this, and he gets it.
Right.
It's embarrassing. It's sick.
I was honestly trying to think, is there anything Jimmy could have done with how desperate the Warriors were where they still wouldn't have done the deal? If he every day walked into Pat Riley's office and took a dump on his desk, would they still make the trade?
He got everything he wanted. In this era, and I know we've been in this era of player entitlement, everybody was all up in arms when Luka got traded. Maybe there's some balancing going on.
I don't know. But I am just overall, though, Moj, completely unconcerned. Don't care about Golden State. They aren't a threat at all. I don't care that they got Jimmy.
But what does it do to your sport when players can get away with that? James Harden did it.
You know what, though? I'm unsurprised because we all expected this. What did we expect that Jimmy was going to lose this battle? No.
Is there a flaw in your league that can happen?
Of course, but it's been that way for years. So now it's just modus operandi. It's just whatever they want to do, they do.
We've seen it here. I mean, Carmelo Anthony dictated his particular trade as well. I know what the Nets had on the table. He wanted to go to the Knicks. He got his wish and went to the Knicks, and I credit the Nuggets at the time with doing a wonderful job of pulling as much as they could out of the New York Knicks when they knew that that's the place he wanted to go. And of course, I have nothing against the Knicks, so to speak, but I was praying to God that they didn't win a championship there with Carmelo Anthony, and they didn't, thank goodness, because I don't like guys holding franchises hostage, and that's exactly what Jimmy Butler did, which is why we were talking the other day about the drama involved in it. I don't want to deal with that drama. I don't want that around my team. Anyway, it turns out he gets exactly what he wants after a month and a half or longer of pouting, screaming, crying, and walking out.
By the way, the trade that does concern me is the one the Lakers made. Now, they were missing something after the Luka trade, which was a big. And they go out and they get Mark Williams. If you don't know who this guy is because he plays in Charlotte, totally understandable. But he's a pretty good player with a high ceiling, I think. He's 15 points, 9.5 boards a night kind of guy. He's a 7-footer.
Yeah, he's a 7-footer, and
here's what blows me away about him, though,
means
Moj.
something.
His standing reach is 9'9", which is Victor Wembanyama stuff. Okay?
Yeah.
9'9". If they're trying to get him to grow a jump shot, which seems to be getting better. He's still not a shooter, really, but they don't need that from him right now. It's stand in the middle and be a giant impediment to anybody who drives the lane and let Luka and LeBron and Reeves handle the offense on the other side. And you just stand there and catch lobs. That's like this team is actually built in a pretty freaky way.
Listen, I'm impressed that the Lakers were able to do what they've done in the last week and to land that guy the night before the deadline. That's impressive. But let's not forget something. The addition of Mark Williams doesn't exactly make it easier for them to deal with Nikola Jokic. Mark Williams tried to guard Nikola Jokic 1 week ago in Charlotte, and Nikola gave him 28, 17, and 13 right in the face, right in the mouth.
Yeah, I'll say the same thing I say to Textures, though. It's never about, because this is what they did when they traded for Luka. Who's going to stop Jokic? They couldn't stop him before. It doesn't matter. Like, that's inconsequential. The things that I think it can do is about people who aren't named Jokic. Like, how do you guard Luka on the perimeter now? If you're Jamal or if you're MPJ and you want to drive the lane, all of a sudden he provides that sort of impediment.
I don't think. See, you're so fearful of the Lakers. Now I'm going to play your role from 2 years ago, where you're trying to walk me off the ledge.
This is for. Hold on a second. Let me prepare for this because this is going to freak me out. That you're taking the Brett role and Brett is taking your role. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because Brett is you're jumping steps here. You think that the Lakers are suddenly a title contender, and I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, they're going to be good. They're going to be good. They still don't have enough size. You think LeBron wants to sit down low? LeBron is now a guard.
Everybody on that team, the starting roster anyway, is 6'6".
Okay, who's
at least?
All right, Mark Williams guards Joker, right? Who's going to help? When Joker is guarded best, it's done because there are two bigs usually in the lineup, and one can help. They don't have another big.
You and me are focused on the wrong details, I'm sorry, different details.
Yeah, I'm focusing on how they stop Joker. Mark Williams by himself, as good as he can be, he will get toasted by Joker, roasted. Devoured.
But here's the thing. Joker is not the one that we pay attention to because Joker does the same thing every night. I'm worried about the other stuff with that team. Luka is the difference maker. He's the one that provides a whole bunch of different problems now.
Yeah.
AD would have a good game and a bad game because it's just difficult for somebody who's trying to play down low like that to really have a super impactful thing. The worst thing the Nuggets do is play perimeter defense. They beat the snot out of the Pelicans last night. The Pelicans still got what they wanted from the outside for the most part. They almost put up $120.
Sure.
That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah,
it's not the Joker aspect.
But every team's going to have this issue where they've got a couple players in LeBron and Luka. If you lock your best defensive player on one of those, what do you do with the other? It's not just the Nuggets. Every player's going to have that issue. Every player's going to have matchup problems there. It works both ways. All I'm saying is I think the Lakers did themselves a big favor by getting Mark Williams, but it's not the big answer. It's not the answer. He ain't the answer to a championship run for them. They're still a ways off.
Do you think the Nuggets are a championship contender?
If they can get the production they got from Michael Porter Jr. like he did last night, the answer is a resounding yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was just looking at the odds this morning because I wanted to see, am I overreacting? And I don't think that at least there's a lot of people that are thinking the way that I am. The Lakers are tied in odds right now for championship odds as the Nuggets.
That's ridiculous.
They're both plus 1,500.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I don't think so.
It's ridiculous.
I think they're both like outside horses that got a shot.
It's ridiculous. You're talking about putting together chemistry at the trade deadline. These dudes haven't even. Mark Williams hasn't played with LeBron. LeBron hasn't played with. Do you know how that kind of chemistry takes time? No, that's ridiculous. It's stupid. And I hope. Who's that? That guy from Philly that came up with those odds?
Yeah, I don't know if it's him. It was on Circa.
Hey, you know what? We'll get a chance to see it. Nuggets and Lakers play 3 more times.
Yeah. No, I can't wait. I really can't. I just think they're better than what they were before. And losing AD is a tough one.
The Lakers, let's see, they played on the 4th. They won at the Clippers. Okay. They're playing good basketball right now, Vic. I mean, that's a little bit of a – I mean, they're 8-2 in their last 10. They've gained a game on the Nuggets. I don't know. I don't know that I'd call them title contenders right now, but they're starting to scare me a little bit too. They really are. The whole thing about the Lakers, somebody just texted in, Lakers will beat the Nuggets in round one. I mean, enough of that. I don't want to get there right now.
But if I do this game, if I play this one, if the Nuggets acquired Luka Doncic and Mark Williams at the deadline, would we be saying, no tangible difference? They're the same team.
No, we'd be saying championship, baby.
Yeah, but they gave pieces away, too. Are you just going to ignore the pieces they gave away?
Let's say they gave away MPJ and Aaron Gordon, and they got Luka and Mark Williams.
You're going to be excited. There's a big difference between excitement. There's certainly excitement when it comes in the names of those players, but you got to prove it now. We've seen big trades happen before, and they didn't prove it. I don't think this vaults the Lakers into some, oh, my God, watch out for them. Are they better? Yeah,
No.
long term, they're better.
I think it puts the Lakers in this category. They weren't winning a title. They got an outside shot. And I'd honestly put the Nuggets in the same category. I think they're the outside shot category.
I disagree with you.
Okay.
100%. I disagree. If you think the Lakers and Nuggets are at the same place, title-wise, I don't know what you're watching.
Okay. We'll see.
I give the Nuggets an edge, but I'm not discounting it. I'm sort of in the middle of you two guys. I give the Nuggets the edge in that regard, but I'm not discounting them. I guess what I want to see is I want to see it play out. I want to see what they look like with the big fella in the middle, and then the inside-outside game, LeBron and Luka Doncic. I'll reserve judgment till I see it.
Can I ask a question regarding the Nuggets for a couple minutes here? Let's say that the Nuggets don't do anything at the deadline. They may, they may not. They're, 5.5 hours away, whatever that is. If nobody gets moved, did Zeke Nnaji over these last handful of games prove that he could at least be a rotational player? Or when Peyton Watson's back, is he back to 0 minutes and DNP CDs? Because I thought, look, he played limited minutes last night. He's playing tough and with some aggression. You know, he can go up and get a board. He's super athletic. He plays tough defense. One of the things I actually like about him, that it's not so much a compliment, he takes a lot of fouls, but he takes some because he's aggressive.
Yeah.
And he knows he's coming off the bench, and who cares if he has 5 fouls in 10 minutes?
With you.
You know what I mean?
Make use of them.
Yeah.
There was a stretch earlier this season where Coach Malone was upset because they weren't fouling enough.
Yeah.
They weren't making use of them. By the way, you know when you've arrived as a franchise? When you have fans of opposing franchises listening to a Denver radio show just to get intel and to see how they feel, we have what seems to be a pretty ardent Lakers fan on the text line. And he's commenting. He doesn't like our take on the Lakers. Says, let's see here. You sorry blank Nuggets fans have only won one championship in 50 years of existence. I doubt you'll get another one. And I will be 6 feet under before this sorry organization wins another. You jealous little punk. Think before you talk.
Jamal Murray made a shot.
So now so this is when you've arrived. When you have arguably the most popular franchise in the NBA and their fans listening to your show, hey, welcome. Welcome to our broadcast.
I'm going to put that in a pipe and smoke it.
Hope you enjoy it. And by the way, what's the number? Is it 13 of 14 over the Lakers?
Yeah, something like
13 of 14. Sign this paperwork right here, would you please, sir? This is me owning you. Sign right here. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I'd like to add that if you want to go to the Magic game tonight and get lower bowl tickets, you can text STEP BACK to 303-504-0925 with your first and last name. You get a chance to win. We'll draw a winner at the end of the show. This is audio from Sean Payton. He broke down the offseason into musts, needs, and wants. You're going to want to hear this because I think he's on to something. We'll get to it next. All right, Sean Payton was on with Kay Adams yesterday, had a couple of things that he was going through. One of them being the offseason needs. And he broke it down into 3 categories. Nelly, if you can rip this off the computer so we can kind of start and stop. Because I thought it was really good. Now, he's going to throw out the same buzzword, and I'm going to tell you right now. Oh, we'll just play it. Go ahead, Nelly.
We do the evaluation of our team.
Yeah.
And the purpose of that is then to establish what we call musts, needs, and wants.
Must, needs, wants. Okay.
So who are our musts?
Your must, you need a veteran wide receiver. That's what I think. I'd like to see you.
I would say we need a joker.
You need a Reggie Bush.
An interior, and a joker now can be a tight end or a running back that has exceptional. We were spoiled here.
Yeah.
When you think about it, all right, you had Reggie, you had Jimmy Graham, Jeremy Shockey, Darren Sproles, Alvin Kamara. Those are interior, either tight ends or running backs.
Jokers.
That they have to be elite receivers that play tight end or running back. And then you get the matchups, and we had quite a few of them here because you're getting too high defense and you have to work the inside. And
okay, pause for a second. So first of all, musts and needs I think are synonyms for one another, but I think the need in this case is like when baby Jamal Kill says, "Daddy, I need juice." You don't need it, but you really want it. Okay, establish that. Secondly, I think I'm going to get sick of hearing that joker word by the time the draft rolls around, because that's going to be thrown out there a lot.
I agree with you. You mean a tight end?
Yeah, just a good player is what you're talking about. We need a good player on this team. Okay, got it. Third, it's another classic example, guys, of Sean Payton does not talk about the past unless it's a good thing that happened in New Orleans. Then I will talk about those.
100%.
Because
you
that
had
is
Reggie,
possible.
you had Jimmy Graham, Jeremy Shockey, Darren Sproles, Alvin Kamara. Those are
the past is the past. But did you see Darren Sproles with my Saints back in the day?
Oh, boy.
Anyway, continue.
So
Where does a veteran wide receiver go in which bucket?
I think a veteran wide receiver fits in a need,
Not a must-have.
I would say we're stronger there than some would think.
Okay.
A Devon Bailey, Troy Franklin. There's a number of receivers that we drafted a year ago. We'll look closely through the middle, inside linebacker, safety. There'll be a few other positions.
I think that all those positions he's talking about is a good breakdown. Like, those are things that you would like to have this offseason. Forget the word joker. Just find somebody, and can I make this simple? I'll do it my own way. Find somebody who strikes fear in a defensive coordinator.
You mean an enigmatic tight end?
Sure, or a running back, just a feared running back. Something like that. It could be that easy. It's just, I don't know how many guys in this roster last year. Like, put yourself in the shoes of a DC. I make you the Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator heading into that playoff game. You're like, all right, let's game plan. Who do we need to stop? What was the answer?
Yeah.
Was it Cortland?
In honor of Nikola Jokic, the word joker should never be used again to describe a football player.
Yeah.
So,
not in this town, anyway.
No, you don't use that here. I don't care about what you did in New Orleans. I really don't care.
Why are we coming up with new names for just a good player?
I don't know.
Hey,
but
I don't
care. Listen, I don't care about your New Orleans resume.
I don't either.
I agree.
I don't care.
We need a tight end. Hey, listen, we need a tight end that can go up the seam and make a big play. We need a tight end to get over the top of the linebackers, force the safeties to come up and really find those. Okay, I mean, everybody does. You don't need to call them specific names.
Listen, I love what Sean Payton has brought to this. He's changed the culture.
I do too. But
deserves to be Coach of the Year candidate. But stop with the New Orleans crap. We don't care about New Orleans.
You need better players. You need good players. That's all. We're not dumb. We say the same thing.
They just, I think overall, you look at the offense from last year that was much better. And here's what's interesting about them. The Broncos were one of the leaders in the NFL in explosive plays last year. They truly were. But that was offset by the amount They were also one of the tops in the leagues in 3-and-outs. So you put those kind of side by side. It's like, yeah, you had the big play, but a lot of times you were barely on the field. And I think something like that tight end or running back can change that. But I want to have an offense, and I'll go back to I'm kind of with Kay Adams on this. The veteran wideout thing, I do think is something they could have. And I was encouraged by something that he said to Kay Adams on that subject, where he talked about his trip to Cabo after the season got done. Listen to this.
We have Jared Stidham,
Of course.
Zach Wilson.
And they're all buddies.
And they all get along.
Yeah.
Their wives get along. And so we were in Cabo a week ago, and McVay and his wife were there. We kind of have everyone over at the house. We had a McVay rule in Cabo. He couldn't talk to Bo Nix.
It makes sense. Separate rooms. No, talk to each other.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, because I think that's where he.
The Cabo thing? I know. I know.
All right. And then we went golfing the next day, the quarterbacks. And as much as I love these guys as quarterbacks, they're awful golfers. I'm like, I don't know who we're beating as a team collectively.
Okay, the golf thing notwithstanding, I seem to remember the last time there was a story about Sean McVay and Cabo meeting up with somebody from an NFL franchise. And 2 weeks later, Matthew Stafford was a Ram.
Right.
All I'm saying
that's why he said stay away from Bo Nix, right?
Right. But he said we had a Bo Nix rule. You couldn't talk about him. Maybe you could talk about Cooper. Maybe you could do that. Maybe you could talk about, hey, are you guys willing to eat a little bit of that salary for him to come over here? Like, I'm very enamored with the idea. You put Cooper Kupp opposite of Cortland Sutton and throw Mims in the slot, and then we talk about, the adding a wideout, adding a running back, adding a tight end. That can be a really scary offense next year with a quarterback going into year 2. Like, really scary.
Mm-hmm. If I gave you the option, would you rather have a dynamic tight end or a dynamic running back? Your choice.
Right now, Vic, I'd rather have okay, Brett, but here's the thing. Are you talking about a running back that's going to chew up, 100 yards, hopefully 100 yards per game, or are you talking about a running back that can catch the football out of the backfield?
It'd be nice to get to 100 yards because it hasn't happened in more than 2 seasons.
I want a running back. I want a guy that is going to establish every single game he's getting at least 80 yards to 100 yards on the ground. Okay.
But a tight end that you have to game plan for if you're the defense and can open up the field is a big, big, big thing.
If I give you the option of Jahmyr Gibbs or George Kittle, what do you take?
No, criminy. That's a difficult question. For Bo Nix, he's proven he can play without a staunch running game. Hell, throw him more weapons. Give me the Kittle.
I think I would take the running back. I think it's necessary. I think that helps your 3-and-out problem. If you're able to get 5 yards on first down on the ground and then operate at 2nd and 5.
I would take the tight end.
Make your case.
Here's why. The case is pretty simple. You can get away with running back by committee. You can get away with it. You could. Hell.
I mean, they just did, essentially.
They just didn't. They didn't have a running game. They didn't.
But I think the running game is also... It's complementary with the line and how you do it, what your philosophy is. If you're not going to run it, how are you going to have a running game? If you have to run the ball on top of your play sheet, how are you going to have a running game?
I think the last thing that we saw before the season ended told me everything I had to know.
What does he want to do? What does Sean Payton want to do in an offense? What?
He wants to pass the football.
He wants to throw the ball.
Yeah, but that can only happen effectively with a running game.
What did he do more of this year? Run or pass?
I think he passed out of necessity.
Did he do it with a rookie quarterback?
Yes.
When a rookie quarterback always tells you run the ball, correct?
I think it's out of necessity.
I think that's just what he's predisposed to do. He wants to throw the ball. And if that's what you're predisposed to do, get yourself a tight end who on 3rd and 4, when you're clamoring for run the ball, on 3rd and 4, that dude's going to get open for you.
When he had Drew Brees, which we all agree is one of the better quarterbacks that's ever existed in the history of this league, he had almost 2,000-yard rushers on that team too, and Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. that also applies to the equation. And look, I'd be good with either one, but I disagree, Moj. They didn't get away with it this year. Like, if running back by committee was so easy, and here's what I think told the story for me. The last image that I got of your running back room before the playoffs started was you benched one of them for a guy who was on IR for 2 months, who was a practice squad guy.
Yeah.
Like, that tells me the committee approach, at least currently constituted, is not working here.
Okay.
You need something way better.
That's fine, but the tight end game was non-existent whatsoever.
Oh, that too, yeah.
And so I'm very curious as to what it would look like with Bo Nix adding that veteran wideout and then having a viable pass-catching tight end in the mix. I just think this offense would get even hell, it might even help your average running back. In fact, I think it would help your average running back. This is a chicken or the egg. You know, do you want that viable running game to open up the passing game, or do you want Bo Nix to have these weapons and be able to take apart, a defense and over the top of linebackers so that they're not crowding the line so that you can open up the running game? Maybe the answer is here. It's just you need to help the running game a little bit.
The game has changed too, and again, Sean Payton is more predisposed to throw it. I'm watching. I forgot what it was. I was watching Terrell Davis highlights from their back-to-back Super Bowl championships. And Moj, if you go back, it's amazing how often the Broncos just ran the ball. It didn't matter what the down and distance was. They just handed it to him. They waited for the offensive line to do that zone blocking stuff, and he'd take off for 8 yards when he needed, a minimum of 5. It's just what they did. It's just a different game. It's a different game.
Can I ask you a dumb question?
Especially in the second half, Vic.
Yeah.
Especially in the second half.
That's all they did.
They handed off to TD, and he would pound, and he would pound, and he would pound. It was awesome.
Can I ask you a dumb question? Going back to those, and I get it, it's a different era. Do you think the Broncos win either Super Bowl if TD is not on that team? If they just have a regular running back?
No.
Okay.
No, he was a dynamic running back.
I got you.
But
Yeah.
I'm going to argue to you that Elway, TD, and Shanahan, any two of those without the other would not have won.
I could have made the argument that if you don't have Shannon Sharp, you don't win. I could have made the argument if you don't have Rod Smith, you don't win. I could have taken a piece from everywhere and say you don't win. So, I mean, you bring it all together, and that's how you get back-to-back championships.
Those were super good teams, dude.
Yeah.
Super good teams.
303-504-0925, Sean Mazda text line. Again, text step back and your first and last name for a chance to win lower bowl tickets to the Nuggets tonight. We got a double Dipperroo. The Nuggets will be on 92.5. The Avs will be on AM 950 back after this.
Double Dipperroo.
Tonight.
Dudes, it's 2025. You tired of dealing with any kind of erectile dysfunction? You frustrated? You tired? You embarrassed about it? Do yourself a favor, man. Call the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic today. Probably not a better resolution you can make for the 2025 year than to be done with ED, not only for yourself, but for your partner. Make it better. Fix yourself. It's all good. Listen, there's no reason to be embarrassed because erectile dysfunction can harm intimacy, can have devastating effects on a relationship. And this is where the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic comes through. Their treatments work when pills or herbals fail. They've got success rates well over 90%. Some treatments, man, they're going to make you really, really good. So do yourself a favor. Give them a call today at 720-440-7900. They've been in business here in Colorado for nearly a decade, successfully treated tens of thousands of men. Your initial visit, only $99, includes the medical consult with a Colorado licensed medical provider, TNPSA test, and a medically advised test dose right there in the office. If it doesn't work, then your appointment's totally free, but you know it's going to, and you're going to be helped. Do yourself a favor. Give them a call, 720-440-7900, or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
So Porter goes off last night. We're about, 5 hours from the end of the deadline? Let's just get a poll of the room here. The Nuggets will make a move in the next 5 hours. Yes or no?
Straw poll. Oh, yeah.
Do you think something happens in the next 5?
I do. I think the Nuggets, whether it's just to divest themselves of salary, to open things up in the buyout market, or some minimal deal that may not impact the roster one bit now, but I think something happens before 1. Now, put it this way. I think they're trying to make something happen. Let me be very clear on this. They are trying to make something happen. Whether or not they fulfill it remains to be seen.
Well, Moj, before you answer, I got something. I got something for you.
Yes, sir. Please
so, you guys know I've been saying Valanciunas for like a month and a half. I just thought he'd be a good fit here, and it felt like a veteran guy that a bad team would offload, and that is what happened. They just offloaded him to Sacramento, and they did it for essentially a couple of second-round picks that you didn't have to offer. Now, part of the report here from one of the guys on the Stein line, I forget who this, Jake Fisher, he said it's 2 second-round picks to Washington for Valanciunas. Denver was very much involved in pursuing the big man from the Wizards. He did mention that, so they tried.
Yeah, Nuggets don't have 2 second-round picks. They gave 3 of them to Charlotte for Reggie Jackson.
That is, I'm telling you, if you look back at, there's been some mistakes. Sarge is a mistake. There's been a few. Paying Zeke that money is a mistake.
Yeah.
The Reggie one
might be
the one that hurts the most.
I couldn't believe that 3 were attached to that. And at the time, you're thinking, big deal. But those things
big
matter.
Deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. Hey, the other thing I want to bring up.
Let me get Moser's. Moser, you think they make a move before 1?
Well, I think it's more in line with what Vic was just saying, that I think that the move that they make is not necessarily to bolster the roster this year. I think they're going to make a move because all these parts are moving right now. They're going to get involved in it to clear something up so that in the summertime and beyond, they're going to be able to do more than they can do right now. That's what I think is going to happen.
Not just the summertime, in the buyout market. So here's how it works, guys.
Yeah, that too, sure.
The Nuggets are currently in the first apron, all right? To be allowed to go to the buyout market and buy out and fulfill a contract that's been bought out, you have to be under a certain number. You cannot be in the apron to qualify for a contract that's worth more than the MLE. I know this sounds ridiculous, the MLE, the mid-level exception. That's basically a Bruce Brown-type contract. He makes a lot of money, okay? So if he gets bought out by New Orleans, and I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. I have no idea. If he does get bought out by New Orleans, the only way that the Nuggets could sign him in the buyout market is if they're below the aprons. So they have to shed more money. I think they shed $6.1 million or something like that.
Yeah.
They have to.
It's going to be tough. Again, if I had to answer the question.
It's so weird to me, though, Kaner. Hang on. Can Zeke Nnaji play the game?
Well, that's the other part. That's the other part of the discussion, yeah.
I think he can. I think he can play the game. What's he making, Brett?
$8 million a year.
$8.9 million.
I know.
$8.9 million. Almost
These
9.
are all rhetorical questions. I can say it myself. These are all rhetorical questions. It would seem to me that if you want to deal that guy, you can deal that guy. I mean, if you truly want to and you want to get into the mid-level exception, look, there are teams around this league who are overpaying dudes crazy amounts of money to make 8.9 seem like peanuts. Now, to us, it's freaky deaky awesome if we could make 8.9. I will never do that in my entire life. But for this guy, there's got to be somebody around the league that wants him for 8.9. There has to be. I mean, he's you just said last night in 9 minutes, man, he pulled down 5 boards, 2 or 3 from the floor. The guy can play the game, for crying out loud.
The issue is, how does the rotation look? Especially when P. Watt's healthy. Because P. Watt's playing the backup 4 right now. So I don't want Zeke playing a backup 5. I don't think that's where he fits. I don't think that's what his role is. I think him playing the 4 is where his natural position is.
Maybe it's just not a good fit on this roster for him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe it's not. It works for now because P. Watt is out for a month, at least.
Yeah. You know who could use him? The Lakers.
Is
more
Vanderbilt
size.
still there?
Yeah, he is.
The last 4 that you had, that was kind of stretch 4-ish, maybe kind of 5-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But I don't know. The Zeke thing is interesting because he does have ability. Like, you see it. He's got ability there. It just doesn't fit here.
You might have to take a pain pill today. You might have to take a pain pill.
But we act like this guy has no value, Vic. Like, you have to give something in order for him to go away. I don't know that that's the case. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
To dump a salary, all right, to get you in that zone where you can go get the buyout market, you're going to have to attach something, right? Something that you may like, that you may say, oh, wow, they had to give him away. And I don't know what that is yet because they don't have the necessary assets to do it via draft picks. They just don't.
Yeah, the only pick they can really trade is 2031 first, right? And I'm not attaching that to a dump
for
off.
A salary dump.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they learned their lesson attaching 3 seconds to a salary dump.
Right.
What I'm trying to tell you is I don't think that Zeke is that much of a liability, and his contract isn't that much of a liability that you have to give stuff away in order to get rid of him.
No, but
if that's what you truly wanted to do.
Here's the thing, though, Moj, and I'll just reiterate something. This is my problem with, like, the Zeke thing along with the Sarge thing. They aren't 5s, and what they're looking for is a backup 5. Now, DJ, I think, has played fine. He's been fine in that backup 5 role. But if you want to not have Zeke ride the bench and you want to play him at a backup 4, then what? When Watson gets healthy, do you move him to a 3? Is that the move? Like, maybe that is it. Maybe you could do it that way. Or you just go back to where you were at beforehand. And especially in the postseason, like, let's be honest, Zeke's not playing in the postseason when that starts anyway. They're going to pare that thing down to like a 7 to 8 man rotation. They're just going to roll with that for every single game that they go out there.
You know, you just hit on something. So what can the Nuggets do before the playoffs? What can the Nuggets do? I'll tell you what they can do, because there are 2 things. You can add talent and make sure that talent contributes during the regular season. I want to see them add 1 more rotational player for the playoff run. Like, you tell me, and this is just a dream.
In what role, though? In what role?
I'm going to ask you this. If I told you that Bruce Brown is available for the playoff run, don't they already have sort of that role?
That's what I was thinking.
That's Russell Westbrook, right? I mean, where do you, like, yeah, you can make room for him. But now you're really small, especially if he goes with the second unit, right? So is that the right move? Or is it a backup big? Is it a 3-and-D? What is it? I don't know what it is.
I think it's a backup big is what you'd be looking for. Like, and when I say big, I mean truly big. Like 7-footer big. Not 6'9" who might be able to stretch out to a 5 occasionally. I want a 7-footer, big bodied.
Okay, so
that
you don't
guy.
think that you don't think the DJ? Well, I don't know that I think DJ's the answer to spell Joker anyway. But keep in mind, Brett, when the playoffs roll around, you're going to play Joker until he drops. So however many minutes that is per game.
Okay, but hang on a moment.
So you're talking about those 9, 10, 11 minutes that he's not on the floor, right?
9, 10, 11 minutes with Joker off the floor in the playoffs can turn into a -14 in a hurry.
I completely agree. Understood.
Yeah. That's what I'm concerned about. Yeah, it's not like a bulk of minutes that somebody needs to take, but it's what I've always said about the bench. They just need to keep things even. You don't need to extend a lead. Even if you're down a couple of points in the 10, 15 minutes that you're in there, that's fine. You just can't be -12s and -15s. That's when you run into trouble.
So tonight the Nuggets play the Orlando Magic. Orlando played last night in Sacramento, which means what time, Moj, do you think that the Orlando Magic got to rest comfortably in their hotel rooms in Denver, Colorado?
Well, they lost an hour, so probably, I'm guessing, comfortably... Probably 1:32 in the morning, maybe.
I would guess more like 3 in the morning that they went to bed because.
Well, how long did they?
Moj, their game was still going on when I left Ball Arena at 10:20 p.m. last night.
Okay, but it was 9:20. Okay, so then they got to the. Let's say they got to the airport at midnight.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Midnight our time.
So all I'm saying
That's
is
11.
the portrait I'm painting
1:32, 2 o'clock, yeah.
This is what you call for Orlando. Even though the Nuggets are on the second game of a back-to-back, I get it. They're also the number one team in the NBA, 9-1 on the second game of a back-to-back. This is what you call the prototypical scheduled loss for Orlando. Would you guys agree?
Feels that way.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. Take care of business and win this game tonight. What I want to see is this. On trade deadline day, if the Nuggets are serious about contending, we just saw 2 straight games where Michael Porter Jr. was energetic, proactive. He wanted the ball. They got him the ball. That can't just go away, even if he doesn't score 39 or 36. I'm not saying you have to have that many points, but the energy to get involved cannot go away.
Right.
You can't suddenly
Agreed.
go to 9 shots attempted, 11 shots attempted, and just doesn't show up for three quarters because his teammates don't get him involved. And it's not just him, it's them. It's all of them. You saw the value he brings to your roster when he's involved. Keep him involved.
There was one play in particular that I think could highlight your point, Vic. The Nuggets got a ball in transition. I think CB came down with a rebound, and it was like a 4-on-1. But Porter out-sprinted Jamal and one other person, maybe it was AG, down the floor for the easy bucket. Like, that's the stuff that you're like, all right, if you start doing that more, he's also been a lot more active on, like, tip-ins and in tip dunks on the offensive glass.
And that's the frustration. If he goes from that player to suddenly invisible, that's where the frustration mounts, right?
Or he's just kind of chilling around the three-point line and waiting for something to happen and get past to him.
And that's why I'm trying to tell you that I think the way the Nuggets starting 5 is currently constituted, they're totally fine. Totally fine. And again, they're doing this, they're putting up 144, they're putting up 125 the previous. They're doing this without Russ now, too. They're doing it without Russ, okay? So you're back to your original starting 5. I think they're in good shape. I don't as long as they just play the way they're supposed to play, I feel good about this basketball team, man. I don't think you need to be going crazy with deals or searching out the craziest deal you can find.
It's not a trade in this report from Shams, but it is an acquisition of sorts. Chet Holmgren is off the team's injury report. It looks like he's going to be back for OKC.
What? You talk about a trade deadline addition. Listen to this. This is what's amazing about OKC and what they've done. They've got the NBA's best record right now. They're 40-9. They haven't had Chet Holmgren since late November. They've gone more than 2 months without their starting center. In fact, their other center has missed half of that amount of time. He's been in and out of the lineup. They've been playing without centers, and they're still 40-9. That's scary.
Yeah.
That is scary.
303-504-0925. Can always get in touch with us on the Voice of the People on the Altitude Sports Radio app. It's powered by the Freaky Law Firm. They're in your corner.
I just can't help but think about what you said about him, Brett. And if you want to put him on the IR again, what do?
You throw a paper airplane at his shins and his legs will break. It is the most freakishly skinny beanpole looking things I've ever seen.
When you see his leg bone go into his shoe, it's like Bugs Bunny wearing like one of those giant boots,
Well, I just
hysterical.
saw this. Baby Jamal Cale put her feet in my shoes the other day as a joke, and that's what it looked like with Chet. It looks like it's just got air around his ankles.
By the way, do you notice how easy it is for babies to eat their feet? Like put their feet in their mouths?
Yeah, they're flexible.
Can you do that? Like, how close could you come to putting your foot in your mouth?
Not even in
Zero.
the stratosphere.
Not even a chance.
I am in.
Give it a shot, Vic.
Really
Let's see.
inflexible.
Here, right.
No, I can't.
Look at.
I can't do it.
Look at that.
I know. Look at that.
That looks like Baby Jamal Cale's foot in my shoe.
It looks like a wiffle ball bat in a Nike.
Like, look how much room is back here.
It's bizarre.
Look at that. That's supposed to be close to your heel. It's not. Anyway, 303-504-0925.
You got to fill that with. It's like the foam sealer you put like around the outside of the the pipes coming out of your house just to seal it up. You know what I mean? You got to fill that shoe with that foam sealer.
What do you do? Family or loyalty? We'll get to it next.
Vic Lombardi here, sports guy, professional multitasker, and I can't get anything done at home. If something breaks down, no clue. No clue whatsoever. That's why I don't wait around for help. I trust AAA Service Plumbing, Heating, and Electric. They guarantee a 2-hour arrival window, no guessing, no waiting all day. Whether it's a plumbing problem, HVAC, electrical, they're on time. They get it done right. So be like me, have no clue, and call the right people. Schedule your appointment now at AAAtoday.com. That's AAAtoday.com.
All right, Super Bowl.
Brett.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Real quick, we didn't get to ask the question yet. Hey, Vic, when did you get your power back yesterday? When did that come back for you, buddy?
Mere moments after we were off the air, of course.
Oh, how convenient.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. Okay, good for you, buddy. Great job.
Yeah, someone's messing with us on the west side. It's always the west side. It's never the south side, never the east side. It's always the west side who loses power in this town.
I can't remember down south the last time my power went out. Knock on your wood, boys.
It literally happens here 5-6 times a year, and sometimes for 2 days. It's like a different region. It's like, did they lay power here, or what? How are we doing this?
I'm glad that you're okay and your food didn't spoil.
Got the squirrels on a wheel. Squirrel gets off, hamster gets off the wheel.
How do you handle it then when
power.
your phone is about to die or something like that and it's off for 2 days? Do you got one of those portable charger things?
Yeah, I do have one of those actually.
Yeah. Or no, wait, you sat in your car one day, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the day you sat in your car because you had no power, so you went to your car to charge things up?
A lot of people do that. Guy in my cul-de-sac did that yesterday. Did all his work in his car. What else what are people supposed to do?
It's amazing how if your electricity gets turned off, you feel like you're back in the 1300s. Like, I need to churn
butter. It's 1893.
Yeah. Yeah. Hang on, honey. I got to churn the butter manually now, please.
Baby, give me the bow and arrow out of the closet. I'll go get food.
So Super Bowl's a few days away. Let me ask a question to you guys.
Hold on. Let me answer something. Someone says buy a generator. I ain't doing that. I ain't going to lay cable and take my fridge out. No. It's inconveniencing me. I'm not doing it. Just turn the power back on.
You don't want to go lay some cable?
I ain't doing all that.
Okay.
Cool, Carl. Super Bowl's a few days away. I got a question regarding this because I know what the answer is, but this guy will not say it out loud. Jason Kelce has a brother who is playing for the Chiefs, who is vying for his third straight Super Bowl. He also is a legend of the team on the opposite side, a career Eagle, who he just missed a Super Bowl opportunity a couple years ago with that squad. He's now retired and an analyst. He refuses to say who he is rooting for. He's playing the both sides game. I think we can all agree on one thing. You're rooting for your brother, right? Even though you have a whole bunch of loyalty to Philadelphia and that fan base and that organization, you root for your brother in this game, correct?
I would hope so, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. If my brother were playing my old team, who would you root for? Or let's say your kid's playing your old school. You root for blood, don't you? How
would
can you
think.
not?
But here's the deal. And I think he is, you can't say that in Philly. And I kind of get why he's not picking a side here. Because I was trying to bring up an example. Let's say that Shannon Sharpe played his whole career with the Broncos. He never went to the Ravens, okay? And he retires as a lifelong Bronco whose name will go up, in the Ring of Fame and all that different stuff. And 2 years after he retires, the Broncos are playing the Packers in the Super Bowl, and Sterling Sharpe's there. If Shannon came out and said, I'm rooting for my brother, I think we'd be pretty understanding, right? You'd be like, yeah, I get it. That's your brother. Of course you root for him. I don't think you can say that in Philly. I don't think you can say I am actively rooting against you. If you were a Philly fan, would you dare? I'm not even risking what those lunatics would say or do.
Yeah, I don't think that I would say it. I mean, you're such a legend. Why drive a wedge between yourself and your fan base? You're going to be loved in Philly forever, right? But you won't be if you say, yeah, I hope the Chiefs win. Why? Hey, hold on a second here. I want my brother to win another one. How many is enough? How many is enough?
It's your brother, Moj.
Hey,
Moj, do you have a brother?
Bro.
Moj, you don't have a brother, so you
stepbrother.
can't participate
That is
in
true.
this.
Yeah.
You don't have one.
You don't have any experience.
Moshe, you don't have that. What's it like not having that?
I have a stepbrother who's like a brother. We've been together for 48 years.
Really? It's the first time I've ever heard of that.
That is true.
You know what? That's funny you say. That tells you all you need to know how close you are to your stepbrother. I talk about my brothers on the show all the time. I know that Brett talks about his brother. Your brother never comes up in conversation. You don't have a brother.
You don't have a brother. Don't you even try. I know more about your neighbor 5 houses down than I know about your
and your
stepbrother.
brother-in-law.
That you're
I know more about
super
your
close
brother-in-law.
to.
What's
Don't
it
buy it.
like?
Do I ever talk about my sister on this program
Yes.
ever?
Yes.
No, I don't.
Oh,
What's
my
her name?
God. Sally.
It's Kristen.
It is. I talk about Bob all the time. I don't talk about my sister at all.
It's okay. You don't have a brother.
All right, so here's my point. Let me get to my point. That's really not, but let me get to my point.
Yeah, it is.
How many is enough for Travis? How many is enough? How many is enough? Screw him.
I don't know. I think you're completely wrong on this. You don't start counting that way. You just say, brother, I want you to be successful. Go win. That's what you do. I can't believe you tried to sneak out. My stepbrother we're super close, and I've never heard of this man. Not once. For the guy who will bring up the most random people in your life on this show, I haven't heard his name one time.
We know more about Mike from
I
computers than we know about your stepbrother.
I actually have talked about him on multiple occasions. You guys just don't pay attention.
What do you mean don't pay attention? Vic, maybe. Can't say that about me.
Let me tell you something. If you don't root for your blood, if you don't root for your brother, no matter what, I don't trust your family dynamic. The only person that wouldn't root for his brother, the only brothers that don't root for each other are in the Aaron Rodgers family.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. By the way, saw this story, and I laughed because I remember seeing this just a few years ago. The NFL is really pushing this 18-game schedule now.
It's going to happen.
And the player rep or whatever that guy is, the president of the Players Association goes, we emphatically say no. Yeah. No player wants this. And I was like, I remember when they said they were pushing to 17 games. You guys are like, absolutely not. We aren't doing this.
Everything
and then
can be bought. Everything can be bought, Brett. Right? You could say no all you want. It's going to be 18 games. The season's going to be pushed. They're going to finish the Super Bowl the day before President's Day, and we're going to get our wish. President's Day, we all have the day off, and it's a national holiday, and here we go.
I don't think that the players have – all the NFL has to do is, so what is your salary this year? And somebody like A.J. Brown will say, like, it's $30 million. It's like, what if we added another $3 million a year to that salary? Would you take one extra week of football then? And I think they'd all be like, all right, you twist
Sounds
my
pretty
arm.
good. Yeah, it can happen. Yeah.
That's the thing. I don't think there's anything. If the NFL said we're playing a 20-game schedule, I think the players would just eventually cave. Wouldn't they? Now, the question is, where's the line of demarcation on how much is enough? Like football season, what's nice about it, we talk about basketball season, hockey season, baseball season being too long, because those are like every day. Every day those games are on, and that's a lot. Like, that's a lot of investment. Think about the amount of hours, Mose, you spend per year at Ball Arena just doing Avs games.
Yeah.
It's 18 times a year. On the surface, it's really, for a consumer, you can invest 18 times into a 3-hour window if you have to. 162, that's like homework. If you actually want to watch every baseball game during a season, that's like 3/4 of your year. Every night you're sitting down in front of your TV watching 9 innings. That's a lot of an investment.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know how much is too much football, but 20 seems plenty. Because if you go to the postseason and you're a wild card, but you go all the way, that's what, 20 you could play 23 games. You win the Super Bowl, right? 20 preseason. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of football, bro.
Yeah,
that's a lot. I don't know. It's such a violent physical sport that seems plenty to me.
By the way, it feels like a first in a while. The Hall of Fame class of 2025 is going to be announced tonight. Here's the 15 finalists for the NFL Hall of Fame, and there's no Broncos on the list, which has been rare over the last few years.
Yeah.
But you guys just tell me, top of your head, maybe not this year, but just yes or no if you think these guys are.
You're going to list 15 players, and how many will get in?
I don't know the number of how many gets in. I forget the number.
He's like 5 or 6.
I think it's like 5, yeah. But just eventually, do you think these guys get in or not? Just top of your head, okay? Eli.
He probably will. I don't think he should, but he probably will. I don't think he should. He was an okay quarterback who won a couple Super Bowls and did a great job in the Super Bowls.
He won the biggest game twice. He beat the most popular team or the biggest dynasty team twice. But if you look at his overall numbers,
he's a 500 quarterback.
I know.
But
I wouldn't put him in.
The Super Bowls, I think Vic's onto something here. Who he beat matters in those Super Bowls.
And how he beat them. He beat an undefeated New England team in Phoenix for a Super Bowl that, they still talk about the play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Luke Kuechly. Just short career. He was so.
I put him in the Terrell Davis category.
Was it concussions? Category. Was it concussions that did him in? Was it concussions?
Yep.
He was a great linebacker, man. He was
beyond great. He
unbelievably
was like
good,
the best. Yeah.
I think he'll be in, but maybe not on this one. Maybe not on this ballot.
Antonio Gates.
I think he's a great tight end who deserves Hall of Fame recognition. Yeah. He sort of became the first of the ex-basketball players to turn it in the NFL. I like that.
I think
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence.
Isn't he the league or the career leader in touchdowns for a tight end?
But he never won. He never won anything.
He's a tight end.
I'm just saying.
Are you really going to hold wins and losses against a tight end?
Allow anybody into the Hall of Fame? Are you one of those old bitter writers that
Oh, this is Moser's bring back Maris's record.com guy coming out.
Ichiro. Eat it. No, go ahead.
Jared Allen.
Boy, he was a good player.
God, top of his game, he was dominant.
Hey, I think if you put him against people who are in the Hall of Fame already, then he's probably in. Same with Antonio Gates. He's already in. Yeah, should be in. He was a great player, dude.
Okay,
he was
so
a menace on the
right now we can't let everybody in. Right now everybody's in. I mean, we got to draw the line somewhere.
Terrell Suggs.
There you go. There's another guy that.
God, he was so good.
I actually love this. I want to see how many yeses you guys get.
Well, you can't put both Suggs and Jared Allen in, can you? You got to make a choice.
Well, not in the same year. I don't think so.
You got to make a decision. Which one?
Yeah, but they were in different. They were in different conferences.
Fred Taylor.
Oh man, he was a hell of a running back.
He's a good running back.
I will say no on Taylor.
Team.
Torrey Holt.
No. Torrey Holt is a fantastic wideout. He's not a Hall of Famer.
And a lot of times he was the Robin to the Batman.
Who's Isaac Bruce?
Yeah.
Steve Smith.
No.
Yeah, I think that's a no.
Go back into the studio. I'm done now. Thank you.
I love Steve Smith. I don't think it was.
Dude, he was a terrific wideout.
Love the dude.
He was terrific.
Reggie Wayne.
No.
Yeah,
Again, another.
Reggie's gotta be, doesn't he?
I don't know, dude. I mean,
I don't know.
He was manufactured by Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is he a Manning byproduct?
All right, I'll go through. There's 3 O-linemen: Marshall Yonda, Willie Anderson, Jairi Evans.
I have no idea.
Yeah, those are hard to judge.
I have no clue.
Adam Vinatieri.
Yes. Adam Vinatieri. And for, we got to end this long-standing anti-kicker thing in the Hall of Fame. More kickers deserve to go in. If you're going to rely on them to make a game-winning kick, I mean, for goodness sake, let them in the Hall of Fame.
I bring this up all the time. If you think of the amount of big-time playoff Super Bowl finishes that Tom Brady was not on the field when the winning play was made, but he gets credit for all the winning, there's a lot of them out there. A lot of those are Vinatieri kicks. A lot of those are Malcolm Butler
defensive
interceptions.
Stops.
A lot of a lot of them are that. Darren Woodson.
No.
He was such a good player, though.
I know.
Nick. He was
but
so
that team
good.
had a lot of great players. No, you got to put your foot down. You can't let everybody in.
Man, I'll say no. But he was so good.
Last one was Eric Allen.
If the immediate
54 picks.
Okay, let me say this. If the immediate response isn't yes, then it's a no.
I suppose. Yeah, I suppose.
That's your class, though. That's the class of this year. There's some big names on there, though.
But there's
Crowded.
already guys from the senior committee that are going in.
Right, that too. But these are, I think, the newer names, whatever you want to call them, the newer finalists.
Eric Allen's been out of the game for quite a long time. Why are we just doing? Is this a roundabout?
Well, so is Darren
again?
Woodson. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Lucas writes in, they should have a separate Kickers Hall of Fame since they're not actually football players. Lucas, let me say this. I've said this many times. I'm not here to tell you that they're bona fide football players, kickers and punters, okay? But if you're going to put helmets on them and shoulder pads and say go out and look like everybody else, then you're a football player. And if you're asked to win a game, then you're a football player. And if you catch all the heat because you blow a game, then you're a football player.
Yeah.
That's the definition of a football player. I don't care what you do, but if you feel the heat and you win the rewards and you wear the same uniform, you're a football player.
I actually get really annoyed by this. Remember last year when preseason ended and we were heading into the regular season, and I said, I know people don't find this topic interesting, but it's before they got Will Lutz. I was like, not having a kicker's a problem. You ask somebody to win a game for you, and you don't have faith in it. That's a big deal.
Hey, Kansas City's got a huge advantage in the Super Bowl.
Sure they do.
They got the better kicking game.
Yeah.
That's a big advantage. That matters.
Reminder to you guys, we're giving away lower bowl tickets for the Magic game tonight, and all you have to do is text in to the Shop Mazda text line, one price, one person, 1 hour, 303-504-0925. Text in, step back, and your first and last name. Puts you in the running. We'll announce a winner at the end of the show. So it's step back, your first and last name to 303-504-0925. Quickly, Moj.
Quickly. Should I say what's on my apron?
No. First of all, the time has passed. Too much time. It was like an hour and a half ago. What are we doing?
Yeah, but it's really good.
Well, why would you bring it up if you don't tell everybody? I mean, I don't understand keeping these inside jokes. Like when you text us.
I'm running out of time. My life is running out of lifespan.
Let's talk about it during the break.
Yeah, I get it. All right, Jeff Legwold's going to join us at 9 o'clock. Can I ask something about the Nuggets and where we are headed to with this 1 o'clock deadline? If the Nuggets don't make a move, do you see this as a failure or a shoulder shrug?
I think here's the problem. You're in a really bad spot. I know you're going to talk about the window, Vic. Yeah. Your window is open. You've got the best player on planet Earth in his prime. We've heard the promos. We've heard other shows talking about it. I dig all of that. But with the way the CBA is constructed at this particular trade deadline, right this very second, you are screwed. You're in a really tight spot. Tight. What can you do? I mean, what can you do to impact a championship run? There's not I don't think there's anything you can do that's really going to make a huge difference. I don't think so.
I disagree with you. I think there's things you can do on the periphery to loosen up the purse strings. Maybe, shed some salary now, hoping that the buyout market gets you somebody that can play in the rotation.
Okay. I agreed. Okay, that's one thing you can do, but it's not like you can do a 1-for-1 or a 1-for-2 and make a big splash.
No, I mean, I'd be stunned, shocked beyond belief if they made a big splash between now and 1 o'clock. I don't think that's going to happen, but there are other, lower-level deals. There are teams doing lower-level deals right now. By the way, Reggie Jackson got traded again. I think the poor dude's been traded 7 times since the Nuggets dealt him to Charlotte. He got traded again. Philly's sending him to Washington for draft picks.
Have the Nuggets made an impactful move at the deadline outside the AG trade?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've made moves in years past at the deadline.
They've made moves. I'm saying impactful moves.
You mean guys that
outside
were
of AG.
rotational players?
Yeah. All the guys that it feels like they've acquired have been before the season started.
Yeah.
I don't know of a lot of in-season moves the Nuggets have made that
That's
have been like,
point.
wow.
Yeah.
Outside of AG, obviously. AG was a big one. But, all these sort of like little ticky-tack, oh, we'll get a Bryn Forbes here, hey, we'll buy out Thomas Bryant here.
Yeah.
Like, those really haven't.
I mean, even when they bought out Reggie Jackson, remember that? The year they won the championship? He didn't play much in the playoffs.
Right.
Thomas Bryant didn't play in the playoffs.
Right.
He didn't play, wasn't even part of the rotation. So, yeah, they have made moves, but they weren't moves that impacted the game.
And the reason I ask that is because what kind of actual rotational player, even if they make a small move to create some cap space to be a player in the buyout market, what guy would you see as somebody that would actually be impactful in the postseason anyway when Malone pares that thing down to 7 or 8 guys?
Well, again, I don't think they desperately need this player, but if you're telling me Bruce Brown is on the roster, he's not playing? Are you telling me he's not playing?
He's probably.
Are you crazy?
I think he's probably playing. I think so, but again, Brett's right. How large is that rotation going to be when it really matters the most?
Well, it's not very large now in the regular season.
But I'm saying in the playoffs, it feels like you're going to play P-Watt, you're going to play Russ, and you're going to play Strother? Is that it? Like maybe DJ gets a few minutes here and there? Maybe?
Okay, I'm just let me throw it back to you.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that they're going to go out and get him. I'm just saying if you
just a hypothetical. Yeah.
If you had Bruce Brown on the roster, it's not necessarily the biggest need. You mean to tell me you're not playing Bruce Brown?
They probably would.
He's taking Strother's minutes.
Okay.
I mean, that's not even a question.
Yeah. Here's the problem. Bruce Brown is different because he's been here recently. I think here becomes the problem with like these mid-season acquisitions that are not named Aaron Gordon. Mm-hmm. We all know it takes a second for Malone to trust you. And I don't know if there's enough time to trust anybody in 2 months, right? Like, is Malone going to take somebody who's never played here before? And I'll leave Bruce out of the discussion because he's different in this regard. But you take somebody who hasn't played here before, and in 2 months, Malone says, yep, that's a guy that I would trust with 12 minutes in a postseason game. It's just, I think it's really hard to find that. It's really hard.
I think, Brett, I think you're right. I think if he goes that route in the postseason, you know what it is? It's because something really ain't working or it's out of a necessity. It's because his hand is forced, not because he chooses to put that person in. That's what and so if we get there anyway, we're probably screwed.
Can we get
fair enough?
Yes. I want to get to keys of the game in just a couple of minutes, but Moj, the Avs are going to be on AM 950 tonight. What you got for the game? Obviously, we talked to Bednar yesterday. Bednar was not happy. He was not with the performance they had just yesterday or 2 days ago. He talks about effort on the offensive side. Are we expecting a lot more bodies in front of the net and stuff like that? At least you would hope, considering how angry he was.
I certainly hope so. This is as close to a playoff game as you can really get. I mean, you've got a team that's right behind you, that's trying to pass you. They're right there on your butts. I think you're the better team. You've got 5 more regulation wins this year, but you gotta pretend like this game means it a lot. Not everything, because it's not do or die, but you gotta pretend like this game means a whole lot, and you gotta show it. You gotta play like it. You gotta look the part. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I talked about the Nuggets last night in the third quarter, looking the part, playing professional basketball. You got to play professional hockey tonight. You got to come on out here and say, you know what we did 2 nights ago, completely unacceptable. We're going to make life miserable for these guys. That's what you have to do.
I think that there's a level of offensive effort.
I think the fans need to see it. I think the players need to see it out of themselves, Brett. I really do.
There's a level of offensive effort that has to be a given every single night. And I was talking about this yesterday. The Avs are in a weird spot because they're built to be an offensive powerhouse, and their offense has struggled for about a month. Like, they've just been so up and down. And you look at the games that they've lost, they haven't lost them 6-4. They've lost them 2-1 and 3-1 and 3-0. Like, 3 goals should not be something that is an insurmountable sort of number for this offense to overcome.
Well, this is a team that should be averaging. I mean, last year they averaged almost 4 goals per game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot. Right now, in the last 10 games, they're averaging about 2.5. And that is just not going to cut it, man. You're not going to get to where you need to get to. And again, I said this yesterday, but it's the God's honest truth. This team can fire pucks from outside. They've got sharpshooters, snipers. They got it all. But the vast majority of goals scored in this league are down and dirty. They're within 5-8 feet of the net. I mean, you're in the low slot. You're getting your butt kicked. Everybody's. Where's Arturi Lehkonen go when he's on the ice?
Well, I was going to ask you. Besides Lecky, who does that for this team?
Yeah, you need all Leckies out. Well, LOC will do it. Parker Kelly will do it. Nate. I mean, they'll all do it. But you got to do it a lot. Everybody's got to do it a lot tonight. Everybody goes to the front of the net. Jonathan Drouin goes to the front of the net. Hell, like that game the other night against St. Louis, I mean, he tapped it in from midair at the top of the crease, right?
Yeah.
You got to go there consistently, and you got to bang hard down low, man. You have to. It's not coming easy. If it's not coming easy, you better start getting greasy.
Well,
just the
with
way
that,
it is.
Let's get to our keys of the game.
Do whatever it takes to win.
It's the Johnson Auto Plaza Keys to the Game. Johnson Auto Plaza. Experience the power of the plaza, where they have the keys to performance and style with Ram, Jeep, Chevy, Buick, and GMC, and a huge selection of used all in one place.
Johnson Auto Plaza.
Here's Moser, Lombardi, and Kane.
All right, let's stick with it, Moj. The Avs and the Flames, AM 950 tonight. What you got?
You have to win the special teams battle no matter what. The Calgary Flames take the second most penalties in the National Hockey League. You're the Avalanche. You typically draw plenty of penalties, right?
Penalties. Terry Pendleton.
That's right. You draw penalties. What you're going to do is you're going to get yourself on the power play. You must win the special teams battle tonight. You do that, and you win the game. End of story.
By the way, before you go, Vic, I love Terry Pendleton. What a player. Go ahead, Vic. What's the keys for the Nuggets?
Player. Well, I've told you the key for the last 4 games, and it's a 4-game win streak, is when BJ scores 20 points or more, the Nuggets win. It's that simple. Tonight, I'll change it up a little bit. Franz Wagner, who did not play the last time the Nuggets beat Orlando. I think he's Orlando's best player. Right now, he's playing the best. Hold Franz Wagner in check. Keep him to under his average of 25. Aaron Gordon's going to have his hands full tonight. That guy's the key to Orlando's success. Keep him in check, win the game.
Those Wagners are good players. Franz. Name like Franz, too. You just got to love it.
Franz is better than the other one.
Yeah.
What?
What's Franz, it's Mo Wagner. And it's at German, it's the W. It looks like Wagner, but it's Wagner.
Right. Somebody's telling me, I'm not saying that he's better than Paolo Banchero. He's playing better. If you look at what Paolo's done since he's been back from his injury, he has not been impressive at all. I saw him in Orlando with my own eyes. He was not good. Franz has been more impactful when the Orlando Magic win.
You went on the Nuggets trip to Florida? What a shock.
Magic
Going
at
to Phoenix
Nuggets
this weekend, too.
Going to be on 92.5, Avs and Flames on AM 950. Both of those, 7 o'clock tips and puck drops. Johnson Auto Plaza, experience the power of the plaza, where they have the keys to performance and style with Ram, Jeep, Chevy, Buick, and GMC, and a huge selection of used all in one place. Jeff Legwold next. The big game in just a few days, and the Circus Sportsbook is where to be when that game rolls around because they have the best odds in the game, no doubt about it, and their Circus Squares contest. You pick your own numbers with Circus Sports. Minimum $1 bet gets you $100,000, not to mention all of the prop bets you could imagine on that Circus Sports app. So download it right now or go to circusports.com, and always remember, any gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Send out to the Ramos Law Hotline. Car accident, you need Ramos Law. Medical doctor and attorney, ramoslaw.com. We're joined, as we are every Thursday at 9 o'clock, by Jeff Legwold of ESPN.com. Leggy, how we doing this morning?
Good morning, fellas. I'm good.
Good morning. All right, few days away from the Super Bowl. We'll get to that in a second. I heard Sean Payton on with Kay Adams the other day talking about musts, needs, and wants for the offseason. Do you think that veteran wideout is on their radar?
Well, I think they'll take a long look at it. It's just, are you going to be able to get the guy that fits what you do? I mean, Sean Payton has a pretty, not narrow, but he's got a very specific profile of what he wants in a receiver, and you're not always going to find those in free agency. But the other issue with that is, this wide receiver class in the draft has sort of a gap in it in day 2 of the draft, which is usually a really good sweet spot to get a receiver. So I think those are the two issues. So I think they will take a hard look at the receivers in free agency. Obviously, T. Higgins is the pie in the sky. I mean, he fits the profile. He probably is a number 1 on a lot of teams, if he's not with Jamar Chase. But, a lot of people I know in the league think that Higgins would prefer to stay with Burrow and, the rest of it. So, but he does fit the profile, and he would be the big money guy. You'd have to pay him at top of the market, and that would use up most of your free agency fund, basically.
Jeff, we had this conversation earlier in the program. If you had your choice and the Broncos directed all of their resources at one position, would you get a running back, bona fide running back, or a bona fide tight end to fit in this roster?
You mean in free agency or
yes.
the draft or all of it?
It doesn't matter. Like, if you had one choice or the other, what would make this team hum more?
Probably if he could get the running back that he wants in that quote unquote joker role, that is, the Kamara types, that's those are hard to find, but that would be the huge impact in the offense on all fronts. A tight end is needed and has been needed for years, and Sean Payton isn't the first head coach to need one here with the Broncos in recent years. But running back, in his pure joker running back, would be the most impactful. It's also the most difficult guy to find, because you've got to be as good a route runner as you are a runner in general. So tough to find, but it would have a huge impact in what they do.
But, Jeff, aren't all these guys hard to find? I mean, if you want a great pass-catching tight end who can run over the top of linebackers and is hard to handle and, can run up the seams and open everything up and blah, 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 or you find a running back that can catch the ball like crazy out of the backfield and you can use him in every situation. I mean, these guys don't grow on trees, man. How do you propose they go about doing what they would like to do?
Well, you guys know I think real team building happens in April and not in March, but that's, this is why you find prospects that fit what you do and you cultivate them. And those players are available out there, but you gotta get it right, and they gotta stay healthy. And I think that's the part that's eluded the Broncos sometimes. I think Zach Allen is one of their best free agency signings in a long time, because he produced at a level even a smidge higher than he had. That makes him the most rare of free agents, that he actually played better with his new team and not just the same level. So that's why I think the draft is important. You got to find the guys that fit your specific things, and that's why all the change at the Broncos has worked against them, because every new coach, every new coordinator wants something different, and you're not able to do what you see and fill those roles. I think just over long-term years, you get more production over a greater period of time if you do it through the draft well, instead of sort of panicking through free agency with the whole gotta have this guy, gotta have that guy. That's what gets you in trouble, because you end up paying for a lot of short-term contracts, and guys don't play all the way to the end of the deal.
Jeff, this is a two-parter. Now, a texter recommended this, and I agree. Can we all, as a media group, come to the same page and say this? Joker is reserved for one person in this town.
Yeah,
and that's Nikola Jokic. So can we call it the jester instead? A jester position.
Well, I guess the jester's always been, had the foolish connotation to it. So that would be my concern.
Okay.
In the world of synonyms. But I will say the Joker in football existed long before the MVP Joker arrived here, but that's neither here nor there.
The second part of the question is, if they're looking for a tight end, you just gave us prototypically what he's looking for in a wide receiver. What is it in tight end then? Because if I just look physically, because I don't know what happened behind the scenes in practice, all that stuff, Greg Dulcich felt like somebody physically that would fit a whole bunch of those pieces. What is he looking for?
I think he'd like an athleticism of Dulcich with just a smidge more ability in line as a blocker. Because if your guy can't block, when you line him up in there, nobody's fooled.
Is that why he traded Jimmy Graham in New Orleans?
I think eventually, he gets very, he's very in tune with what he thinks the production level, value, all of those things. What's the vision down the road? I think when the deals come, it's when he's decided, he needs more from you than you're giving him at that moment. But he'd like the athletic pass-catching tight end who he could at least line up in tight if he wanted to, who was still good enough blocker to make that work. Again, that's a hard player to find, but I think there are more of those than the multifaceted running back who can do everything that he likes.
Hey, Jeff, are you tracking what's going on? Last week, the Broncos launched this wonderful charitable initiative, 15,000 helmets to high schools here. And now I'm hearing that a lot of these districts are saying, I don't know, we don't want you tracking our players. What is going on? I mean, why would you say no to a helmet?
Yeah, I think that all the company wants is the data so you can teach players not to use the crown of the helmet and to show them the impact levels at in how the helmet was used. And I guess as a parent, I wouldn't have a beef with that. And I'm as don't track me as much as anybody in the world.
We're aware of that. Yes.
Yeah, no, I got it. But so I guess, to me, if I'm, the Broncos or the Rydell, I guess I do a little better job of explaining how they're going to use the data and alleviate some of the fears. But, I played football at a high school that had no equipment. We sold candy to try to get, 5 new helmets in a year. And I think it's an amazing program, and it would be a shame. It would be a shame if schools couldn't have top of the line, the most safe kind of football helmet because you're fearful of the data. I would just say get everybody in a room and alleviate the concerns however you got to do it.
100%. I consider it bureaucratic silliness if you don't take them up on their offer. I mean, some of these guys, hell, we played with cardboard helmets. Do you want safety or not? These are the best helmets on the market. Take the damn helmet. Calm down.
No, they're $600 to $700 a pop. It's $9 million worth of helmets to high schools in Colorado that, unless you're Creek or Valor, you're not going to have this kind of equipment. This is going to 6-man teams, 8-man teams. I mean, that's what I mean. Just alleviate people's fears, however you got to do it. Explain if the data isn't Big Brother data, then explain that to people. Explain what you're doing with it. Have transparency. Have a discussion, Yeah. And I get if you're a school administrator, you got a million things you're worried about, in terms of protecting the students. And so I can see that side of the equation too, because it's an unknown thing. It's out of nowhere. It's, and they want to start, I know there were high schools getting measured for the helmets this week.
Yeah.
So it's already going. It was instituted fast, and I guess whatever people got to do to alleviate concerns, they should.
We have a problem saying thank you a lot of times in this country. We have a problem saying thank you. Somebody gives you something, a generous opportunity, take it. Like, here's another example, and I'm not picking on you here on the Twitch feed, but the remark is, well, what about the small-time local sporting good dealers that depend on these helmet sales every year? So what are you saying, that the Broncos shouldn't give away? I don't understand. You're giving the community good. Take the good and don't complain.
Well, a lot of those helmets wouldn't have sold because the schools wouldn't have bought them.
Couldn't afford them.
Yeah, they would. I don't have the data, so maybe I'm talking out of school, but there's no way that every high school football player in Colorado played with a helmet that should still be in service. That's all I'm saying. There were obsolete helmets used last football season on high school kids. And if you can avoid that, I think you should avoid it in any fashion. But that's, again, I played high school football at a very big school in the Chicago area that had no money, and we never had the equipment we should have. The pads didn't match. My shoulder pads in high school were 28 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
you were boxy up there, weren't you?
I'm boxy without it. Who are you kidding? Look at that. But
I was borrowing.
I thought it was it's not just helmets. They're top of the line helmets. These are $600, $700 a crack. What school out in the plains could buy $600 football helmets for their football team? I hope they can alleviate people's concerns. And I don't begrudge people for having concerns, because it did come at them fast. It's like, okay, here are these helmets. Here they are. Start measuring your kids. Let's go, go, go. So, I can see where some people want to take a step back and say, all right, hang on a second. But I'm just saying, everybody needs to do what they need to do to alleviate concerns. And if that even means you can have the helmets and we won't track the data if you don't want us to, then, you don't get the benefits of the data either.
Track
if that's
the damn
choice you
data.
make.
Why are you so afraid? Why are people so afraid of the data? What is so fearful of this data that people say, no, I don't want this helmet?
I just think it's the time we live in, Vic. I mean, you know how people are. I got friends who turn off their cell phone because they don't want people to know where they are. It's like, okay, whatever. I just think whatever you can do to alleviate the concerns, I think it's a good thing. And I hope it doesn't get messed up because it's not implemented properly or somebody doesn't hold up their end of the bargain. I just hope it works out the way it is intended.
Okay. Super Bowl Sunday coming up here. You're sitting in your kitchen right now.
Yeah, no Super
What are you
Bowl.
doing for
The Senior Bowl was the choice of the worldwide leader for Jeffy this year. So that's what I did.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So what are you going to do? What does Jeff Legwold do, who lives, eats, drinks football? What are you going to do on Super Bowl Sunday?
Well, this may be the first Super Bowl I've ever watched like a real person. So I don't know what to do. You got any advice?
Okay, as a person then, I've noticed this, and I don't know if it's just a local thing that we hate the Chiefs, and so we're sick and tired of this. I know it's going to rate well. It's the Super Bowl. Everybody's going to watch. But in general interest, do you think if it was Washington-Buffalo, it would feel a lot different?
Maybe here.
That's what I'm asking. Is it a local thing, or is this national?
Here, this is a constant reminder that Patrick Mahomes is 29 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, this brings out all the difficulty if you're a local football fan, because he's not going anywhere. As long as he stays healthy, they're a viable threat for this game, every year. And that's a tough thing if you're a passionate local fan here, for sure.
Two things quickly, and then we'll let you go. We're up against it. Number one, Myles Garrett requested a trade. This is a man who is entering the trade market with a gold jacket already draped around his shoulders. What's the return for a trade for Myles Garrett?
Well, it's one thing is it's very difficult for the Browns to trade him. $36 million of dead money if you trade him, and you don't get to split it if you trade him. It's not like releasing a guy. You have to take it all in one shot, and they're already saddled with the worst quarterback contract in the history of quarterback contracts. So very hard to trade him. The market would be high. Would it be as much as they got for Khalil Mack? Probably not, because it's a different time we're in right now. But, you're obviously, if you're Cleveland, you don't do it unless there's a number one involved somewhere. But it's really, I don't think people should underestimate how difficult it would be for Cleveland to absorb that. Not only would they give up their best player, they would make it even more difficult for them to dig out of what they're in.
Secondly, and lastly, I understand that you said, I don't like to be tracked either. Do you have a bunker in that place?
No, I said I have friends who don't want to be tracked at all. Like, any electronic device is like, Dracula stuff to them. So
yeah, don't get away from my question. Do you have a bunker in that place?
I don't have a survivalist bunker with canned goods. No.
All right, that's what I was wondering. You just keep those all in the cabinets above you. That's what you do. Those are filled with canned goods.
Are you kidding me? My kids are grown up and gone. Half those things are empty. I think there's nothing up there.
Jeff, you're the best. Always appreciate your time. Talk to you next week.
See ya.
Jeff Legwold, ESPN.com, All Conversations with Leggy, brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW Local 68. Start with a job, end with a career. All right, can I ask you guys something as the hockey snobs on this show? What do you guys think of the Waste Management Open?
I think it jumped the shark last year, and they had to make some changes. I'm going there Saturday to check out 16 and see how wild it still is, if at all.
Were you there last year too?
Was it last year or the year
ago?
before? I can't remember. But I was there, I think the year before last. Last year got out of control. You heard the stories from last year where,
yeah,
I mean, the players were complaining. It got so loud and rambunctious to the point of distraction. I will say this, and I don't know, but he can attest to it. For anybody who's been to the Waste Management Open, it is just an open season for vomit.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally, you walk around the course and people are just vomiting everywhere. It's just young people vomiting. That's what it is.
So that's going on right, today is Thursday, right? It's going on right now?
Yeah.
Vomiting and all that.
There was a video I just saw. I don't know if it was raining there or what the deal was, but there was a large individual who, I don't know what hole this is on. Maybe this is 16. Look at this, Vic. He is, it looks pretty wet.
Mm-hmm. Falls?
It doesn't fall. He's just taking a nice little slide.
Yeah, that's everywhere. You know what's funny? The side of those hills, they become very slippery. I'm not joking, because of liquid, sometimes vomit, and people are falling on the side of those hills all the time. It's gotten to be too much. I mean, we all want to have fun, right? It's all about having fun, but it's taken almost away from the sport, and it's just a drink fest.
Yeah. It got a little over the top last year. I'm a fan of this, though, that you have maybe one tournament a year where you just let it all go. You know, forget the decorum of the PGA and just let people do their thing. Now, again, I don't want guys being hit in the head with like full 24-ounce beer cans. I don't think that's any fun. Because that's, I think, where it got over the top. It's borderline dangerous. You get a hole-in-one on 16, it's like you're now dodging shrapnel for the next 2 minutes.
You say let it all go. I mean, that's fine and dandy. I don't blame you until the players stop playing. Some players won't play. They won't do it. It's just too distracting. I mean, 16, have you ever been there for number 16?
No.
So it's all enclosed. It's a par 3, and it's so loud. It's the loudest hole in golf. It's awesome, because it's so unlike any other hole in golf. And when players are into it, like when you get a player that's into it, it's fun. But then it's awkward when you get a player that's not into it, that just sort of wants to play golf.
Well, you know what, what you signed up for when you signed up for the tournament. Sorry. Like, that's what I'd say to that guy.
I'm telling you what the scene is. That's all I'm telling you. Not every player is as outgoing, and, not every player is Max Homa.
No, I understand.
Brett,
but if I sign up for like a Korn concert or something and there's a mosh pit, I can't be upset there's a mosh pit. You know what's coming.
Brett, I'll leave it to you this. My buddy, and you know who he is, Mark, my buddy Steve Garcia works for PGA Security. 2 years ago when I was there. 2 years ago was a Saturday. I said, how'd it go, Steve? He goes, actually a good day. He goes, good day. We only arrested 104 people today. Listen to that number.
Yeah.
104 people. One-day tournament.
I would argue to you there may be 10 people arrested during the course of the PGA Tour season, period, on all events. What's so weird about that, Vic, you're right, though. I've played that course on multiple occasions when they're not preparing for the PGA Tour, and that number 16 is just a little tiny par 3 in the desert. It's honestly weird because
you take away the grandstands and
it's nothing.
Yes,
but they've made it.
You have it in your head. Yeah, you have it in your head on what you think it is, and then you stand up there like this is just a little baby par 3 with a lizard running around. You know what I mean? It's like it's really kind of bizarre, to be honest with you, but I'm glad that they're toning things down. They should. I mean, it just got way out of hand.
See, you're a different audience, Brett, and I value that. I think golf should let its hair down. It is too stuffy at times, but you're completely different. You're that bro golfer, and I know you're younger. You're bro. You want to drink beer as you swing.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just a different audience.
If I had the beer helmet as I was lining up for a drive, it'd be great with the little straw.
Yeah.
Vic, you're the complete opposite. I'm trying to think about it. You're the complete opposite. I mean, you'll have a coldie from time to time, or you'll have your little wine spritzer.
That's
or
not
whatever.
true. I like music. I like music on the course. That's not true at all. I mean, I am not Mr. Button down like some people are. I'm not rules guy. I'm not any of that.
But me and Brett, when Brett and I hit the course, we hit the course.
There's a checklist before you get to the first tee. There's a checklist. And you have to get all your checklists done, or else you don't feel right.
You're like my kid, though. You know, you've played my kid. You guys like have ADD on a golf course. Take your time. Slow down before you swing. So calm. Assess where you're hitting it. Where do you want to go? What club do you want to use? Maybe I should use this one. You guys would just go up, and then you complain about your score.
Brett and I will saunter up. We'll get a little brewski in a sidecar.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're ready to go to the first tee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got everything prepared. Everything's where it should be. Okay. Got a little birdie juice just in case, or maybe a little eagle juice for you the other day.
The
right?
aiming fluid.
Here's where I draw the line. Here's where I draw the line. Did you guys hear what Lucas Glover had to say about those golfers on the Pro Tour and even in the amateur circuit when you go play? Do you ever play with those guys who do this? They're lining up a putt and they put 2 fingers up, 3 fingers, and then they.
This is Keegan Bradley. Yes. This is Keegan Bradley.
Oh, I got friends who do this. I've got friends, and every time they do it, I just mock them. I'm like, "Come on, dude. What are we doing? Are you Pocahontas here with your feet? What are we doing? Just hit the putt. What are we doing?" So Lucas Glover said they've got to ban that because it takes too long, and he's 100% right. Those people who do this, you're taking yourself way too seriously. Just hit the putt. I don't need this and the balancing act. Stop that.
The one thing I've noticed, I don't even know what the hell those things
You're
do.
a 16. Hit the putt.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
The one thing that I've noticed that actually kind of helps, if you have a longer putt and you walk about halfway up and line up, like that helps.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the dudes who take it to the next level. In fact, I was playing with a guy. In fact, when I was playing in that Castle Pines Pro-Am, not the pro, one of the amateurs was doing that. I go, wait, what are you looking at exactly?
Yeah, he doesn't know. He has no idea.
You saw it on YouTube, probably. Yeah. It's called aiming. It's called the aiming point, Vic, is what they call it, the aiming point.
Well, and then they asked, all you have to do when you get on the green is, shoulder length apart with your feet, and you can feel how the green is leaning.
Sure.
And he asked me, hey, what do you feel? I go, I feel my feet.
Yeah.
I feel my feet on the ground.
Somebody told me to do that. I'm like, dude, I'm about 6 beers deep. There's no feeling any sort of slope here. Okay.
This is exactly right.
He's bare-chested and banging his chest.
Let's say I took you to the course, Brett, and you're on beer 6 on hole 14.
Yeah.
When you're doing that thing, you don't know whether you're swaying because the ground is unlevel. You don't know what you're doing.
Amateurs should be banned from that.
It's ridiculous.
Amateurs should. And then also at Castle Pines too, guy goes, yeah, you got to read your green. I go, I tell you how I read my green. Caddy, where do you want me to put this?
By the way, Vic, Texture is right. You got on us for not taking our time. You would much rather play with us than a guy who takes too much time. That's for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Again, I am not.
Well, so then,
Mark Moser portrays me as some sort
right.
of. You portray me as some golf elitist. You know I'm not that at all. I'm just saying, I think the Waste Management Open for the pros and for the professional tournament has jumped the shark in many respects.
What's homeboy's name? Saying. What's the waggler? Is that Harmon? That's insanity.
Brian Harmon, yeah.
That guy who does 50 waggles before he and he does this thing with his head. Well, what is this about?
Yeah, Sergio does that too.
What's the psycho head turn thing? He's not even looking. He's just shaking his head.
Kevin Na admitted that he had a mental malfunction. Remember, Vic, he would stand over the ball. I mean, and he admitted, I have a problem and I don't know how to fix it. He admitted it.
I played in the old International Pro-Am with young Garcia when he had the yips. Do you remember he couldn't stand over the ball and he kept? Do you remember that?
Yep.
Hey, I got a question. We'll get to the Nuggets trade deadline stuff in a bit. I have a couple of close friends of mine that are Ohio State guys. They're from Ohio. Moser, you know one, the hippie.
Oh, yeah.
Just about a month and a half ago, they would stand on any sort of soapbox they could and yell at you that Ryan Day needs to be gone. after they lost to Michigan. Ryan Day is the worst. He's awful. He doesn't know how to coach in a big game. He always loses. In a national championship later, Ryan Day signs a 7-year contract at $12.5 million per year. And those have all subsided. And it always goes back to, in college rivalries really have this, where they say, hey, man, I would rather have a win over my rival, Michigan, than I would a national title. And I go, you're lying.
Right.
You're lying.
Right.
If you lost to Michigan every year, but you won the Natty, you wouldn't care. And this is proof positive of that. And I'm
100%.
so curious how that has so much tied into what they deem success or failure. Because the thing with Ryan Day, I think he's lost only one other conference game to a team outside of Michigan his entire tenure there, and it was that loss to Oregon on the last second earlier this year. It's so weird how much investment that one game takes a toll on a fan.
Isn't that every team in every game? It's become, what have you done for me lately in a lot of these sports, especially college football. Hell, after Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois, people wanted to send Marcus Freeman out of town.
Yeah.
I mean, that applies to every coach at every level. Who you beat and who you lose to, when and how. After that Michigan game, all was lost at Ohio State. The season felt like it was over. They were done. This is the worst-case scenario. What do we do now?
Well, and I think that was a traditional mindset, right? Because if it weren't for a 12-team playoff, they would have been done. That would have been the end of their season.
Absolutely.
But they got the chance to extend it.
Yeah, they're afforded the opportunity to play their way through and win a natty. So good for them, but it's just that's the way fans work too. They just get hyper, they don't think with a straight brain. But I will say this: 12.5, you say per 12.5 per
12.5.
That will buy a lot of Just for Men. A lot.
Yes, that will.
Let me read this text from a loyal listener, Charlie. Thanks for listening. Charlie writes in, one of my best friends invented aim points used by numerous touring pros all over the world. If one knows what they're doing, it actually works very well. Don't be dismissive, Vic. I'm not being dismissive toward touring pros necessarily. I'm being dismissive toward 18 handicaps who show up at the local muni and they're pulling this two-finger thing when there's a group on the tee box saying, we don't got all day.
Yeah. Oh, if you see, look, we've all been there. You're waiting on the tee box for the group in front of you to get off the green. And one guy's just taking his time. And then you see him just like 4-putt. And you're like, what was the point of taking this much time, dude? You're a scratch golfer. You're going to pull that off? Like, I get it. Okay, fine.
Or I see a guy waiting for the green to clear on a par 5, and I'm like, there's no way you're getting it there, bro.
Let me cut to the chase. Let me cut to the chase.
Bro, you might as well just lay out. There's no way you're getting there.
Moj, do you agree with me on this? If you show up at the golf course with a long putter, I'm not playing with you.
Done.
You're out.
Ain't doing it. I'm
not playing. I'm not playing golf with you.
That is the long putter like the Rick Barry free throw of golf?
I don't know what it is, but I'm not doing it. Just hey man, nice to meet you. Oh really? Okay. Hey listen, we'll meet a little later. I'll go in this other group. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Hey, Kaner, I wonder how much of a yeah. There you go. That's that. That's it.
It's just so dumb.
I hate that.
It's just so Bernard Lunger, and I love the dude, right? He kills it on the PGA Champions Tour, but it's just so dumb. Just putt like a normal person.
Yeah. I wonder, though, how much better of a golfer I would be if I actually didn't drink beer on the course and actually took my time to read
What's
putts
the point?
and whatnot. I know.
I'm not getting on tour soon.
Golf, right. When we golf, we have fun. We enjoy ourselves, make a couple of birdies, make a couple of doubles, whatever the case may be. But I wonder if I actually took the game, if I tried, and I tried to really read putts and walk halfway up and see where it would break and all this, how much better would I really be? I don't know, but I'm not sure I really care, man.
What I'm in for when I play, it's not trying to get, a few birds. Not that, like, I got eagle the other day, felt nice. You know what I'm in for? The toe shot from somebody in my group that goes straight sideways that I can laugh at. That's what I'm there for.
Yeah,
I want those.
That is exactly making fun of other people. One of the texters makes a great point. So Lucas Glover doesn't like the aim point, and yet Lucas Glover uses a long putter.
Yeah, good point.
He uses a long putter.
Yeah, he's out.
All right, we'll get to a fact checker in a second. I also want to go back. Last thoughts. We are now 1 o'clock, so 3 hours and 20 minutes from the deadline. Is a move being made or not? Get to it next. Reminder, just a couple minutes left. If you guys want a chance to win lower bowl tickets to the game tonight for the Nuggets, 303-504-0925, text step back and your first and last name, and you are entered for a chance to win. We'll draw the winner in about 10 minutes from right now. Also, if you guys would like to win a Hooters prize pack for you and 4 of your friends, with that party being hosted by DMac, you answer 10 simple questions about the big game. They're like prop bets without risking any money. The most correct answers wins, and a tie goes to the entry that was first. So it's altitudesportsradio.com/Hooters. That's altitudesportsradio.com/Hooters. All right, guys. 3 hours and 17 minutes until the deadline's done. Vic, you thought they would make a move. Do you still think in the next 3 hours this happens? That's a short time frame to get a deal done.
Yeah, the closer it gets, the less likely, right?
Yeah.
Moves are being made right away. By the way, there are several moves that are sort of lower level moves. Davion Mitchell going to Miami, things like that, that perhaps they shake out and the Nuggets can chime in at some point before the deadline. I don't know what that is, but the one move I expect the Nuggets to make, if they make any, is to perhaps shed salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason they want to shed salary is to get into the buyout market.
Buyout, yeah. Get in the buyout a little bit. Okay, fine. I don't think there's going to be anything that's earth-shattering. I can't see that happening. I'll tell you on the hockey side of things, Brett, you know that the league is stopping for the Four Nations tournament. Clearly, we all know that.
Yeah, so it's one more game after today for the Avs, right?
That is correct. Tomorrow night in Edmonton, and then it's off to the Four Nations. But what's interesting, there's no roster freeze or anything like that. You can absolutely do business during the Four Nations tournament. And with the trade deadline March 7th, my guess is, I'm sure a lot of GMs are going to be checking it out. Maybe some will go to the games, maybe some won't, who knows. But there's probably going to be a lot of chatter during the Four Nations tournament leading up that maybe some things will get done or start to get done. We've already seen some big deals, obviously. The Avs were involved in one. The Canucks and the Rangers were involved in another one. But we're maybe going to see some things start to pick up here during the idle time of the league, which is kind of interesting. I'm just sure there's going to be a lot of conversation.
I don't know. It's theirs is in March. What is it? March something for the NHL trade deadline?
March 7th.
Yeah. So they got another month that they can figure those things out. And you know what? It's actually, I think, a good thing that's pushed back. Just knock on wood. If anybody in any of these countries gets hurt during this Four Nation tournament, at least you get a little bit of time where you can try and alleviate the problem.
Right.
God, that would suck. I keep thinking about that, though, Moj. Like, if your hockey team loses a player to an injury in a game that didn't matter for your franchise, I would be livid.
Right. It's happened before. John Tavares got hurt during the Olympic Games one time when he was an Islander. And it pretty much derailed their entire year. I mean, yeah, look, it's a risk. But the players want to do it. Here's the key. Nobody's being forced into this. The players want to play. They want to represent their country. They've been asking for this. And they want to play in the Olympic Games. This is all part of their ask from the Players Association, so they're getting it. And you deal with what could happen.
Outside of soccer, which happens all the time, what major sports league just stops playing for a couple weeks, 3 weeks?
None.
Just stops.
None.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Nelly, can you look this up, please? I believe the first ever Olympic ice hockey game, the first ever gold medal awarded, actually came during the Summer Olympics, if I'm not mistaken. Like 1922? Something like that? Help me out, Nelly. I think the first ever hockey gold medal was during the Summer Olympics.
Yes, the 1920, easy for me to say, 1920 Summer Games.
Okay, so would it be smart for the league then, or the Olympics, to move hockey to the Summer Olympic Games as opposed to, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but to fit the schedule of the season?
Do you think
would it be
players,
smarter to do that?
Would they rather just jam it in the middle of a time that they're already playing or extend it into their off season? I've wondered that too.
You know what? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I would think if you're going to get some time off and then you're going to train, and you start playing, in August when the Olympic Games go on, the Summer Olympics, I mean, could you do it? I guess you could. It's
Yeah.
interesting, though. We think of hockey obviously as a winter sport, but you got to shut down your league in order to do it. Basketball has no problem because they're a summer Olympic.
Moj, when are you leaving, by the way? When are you going to do your Four Nations tour?
Saturday morning.
So, you're leaving this week?
Yeah.
How long you be without? How long you leaving town?
Don't worry about it.
What are you afraid your data's going to be tracked? Did you get a helmet?
Don't worry about yourself there.
You think we're going to track your data?
Hey, can I just take a selfish moment, just a couple of minutes? Because, Moser, why did I say Terry Penn?